Office killer, kiss say, fa 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 fa. Better hide those bodies and run away.
Put on lipstick.
Ay. It should have been eyebrows, because her eyebrows be crazy.
Yeah, they'd be crazy.
I don't know if there's such a thing as an opposite of on fleek, but she might have eyebrows that are off fleek.
They are way off.
Is that a
fleek.
thing? Can you off fleek?
Now it is. It is now. We've invented off fleek.
Yeah, I think so. Welcome, dead and lovely listeners, here to the greatest horror movie review podcast in this galaxy and beyond. Why, it's dead and lovely here with the host with the most. It's me, your best pal in all the world, Uncle Ben.
And me, that guy you kind of know, Hollywood Steve.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
And it's me, Carol Kane. That's my Carol Kane impression.
It's me, Pedo Caveman, as well.
No, that guy's out.
I'm here.
That guy's not here.
We doing Jeepers Creepers, too? I love that
one. You got a Carol Kane in you? Think that's what you pull off?
You don't want to pull off the Carol Kane?
I can't do Carol Kane. No.
Mine's not even close. Yeah, people are just shaking their heads right now. They're like, not it.
Yeah.
Not nailing it.
Lillian Couchstooper's listening right now.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm going to have to get the Banana Boys
in
on
her
him.
tugboat. Mm-hmm. So weird seeing her in like Kimmy Schmidt and stuff, and like the Addams Family, and then seeing her in this. Like,
yeah, where she's playing like a serious weirdo role.
Yeah.
She's good at playing weirdos.
Yeah.
But this one's a serious
people
weirdo.
on the outer fringes of society, if
Yeah.
I'll put it that way. Yeah, Office Killer is going to be the subject of our show today, but you know what, Steve? Before we can even start this thing, I got to get me a pull.
Yeah.
I'm pull-less right now.
I was looking at you over there, and you look like all push.
I ain't had a pull in hours.
You're all push,
I'm
no
all
pull.
pushed out. Yeah, all push, no pull. Let's have us a sip of a wonderful fan-donated beer here.
This came from Tim, right?
Our man Tim in Michigan. He's a Michiganer.
Yeah.
He gave us a whole bunch of good stuff that we've been consuming here. This is a New Holland Brewing The Poet Oatmeal Stout, which I think I've had this before while like on tour or something. But we like a New Holland over here,
New Holland,
man.
Dragon's Milk is the shit.
What's the proof on that stuff? It's like fucking 11
Dragon's
12.
Milk's high
It's
up there, yeah.
It's so good, man. This Poet is looking stout.
It does. It looks very stout.
It looks like Earl.
Yeah, it does. It just looks like straight up cold brew coffee.
It doesn't look too fizzy. We've had a couple stouts and stuff here lately that have been kind of
fizz in it. Yeah.
kind of effervescent. This one looks pretty still. Get you pull of that. I typically like me an oatmeal stout, and it's been stout drinking season for me lately for some reason. That's just been getting good to me.
Quote the Raven, nevermore.
Really?
Right. It has a raven on it.
It does.
Yeah,
it does
I'm
indeed.
assuming it's referring to Poe.
I was kind of hoping it'd be "Give me some mo."
Yeah, quote the Raven, give me some mo.
Quote Busta Rhymes.
Quote Busta.
Give me some mo.
Give me some mo.
The poet of our generation, Busta Rhymes.
That's for sure.
Man, I'll jam that Busta stuff all the fucking time. By the way.
Busta Rhymes is great. This is great. You know what? This is the Busta Rhymes of beers.
It is. Yeah, that's nice.
It is.
That's really nice.
Really,
it's not super boozy.
There,
yeah.
But it's like it's muted. It's not like forward. It does have some effervescence though. Surprisingly,
it does,
for
actually,
a little bit of fizz. When
the aftertaste is nice and earthy too. Like but it doesn't have that like that New Belgian what's it called 1558 or whatever.
Right.
That tastes like musty on the aftertaste, like a basement. You know.
Yeah. I think that's made. That is like. Those Belgian breweries, a lot of those old Belgian breweries over there, they don't clean inside the brewery because the specific bacteria there is like where they get their taste in their fermentation.
Yeah.
So they like, don't clean up or anything. They keep it so it's I think maybe that mustiness, they're going for some authenticity, but it's not fun to drink.
No. Yeah. This is nice though. This is
nice. Yeah,
this is like great. A fully furnished like wall-to-wall carpet basement. There's a cushy couch in there.
Oh man,
they got an N64 GoldenEye.
Yeah, you can wrestle in there, but you got to be careful
Keep it down.
It is concrete under the carpet.
Right, and those lamps aren't cheap.
No, they're not. Yeah,
so you got to be careful. No horseplay in there.
And that last time you guys started playing around, you ran into Mom's old curio cabinet.
Yeah.
And
there was hell to pay. I tell you that.
Your stepdad made you mow 3 lawns. People you didn't even know.
Dude, I'll tell you what, I've not had much time to watch about anything this week.
Oh, yeah?
This week I've watched Office Killer, and we watched Us last night, which if you guys didn't catch that, we put up an Us mini-sode a couple of days ago.
Check it out. There's a non-spoiler section and then a full-on spoiler section.
Yes, indeed. So you guys check that out. It was, but you know, if you just don't want to listen to it, it's good.
Yeah, watch it.
Yeah, Us is good. It's a good movie. What have you been watching this week, Steve? Anything good?
Well, the very day that we watched Us, my wife and I went and saw Captain Marvel as well.
You had a twofer.
A 2-movie day.
Woo,
very
two
rare.
for Thursday.
Yeah, I can't remember a time I've done that before.
It has been a really long time since I had myself a double movie day. We used to do those like a lot.
Yeah.
Back when I thought that we were busy, but we weren't busy at all.
Yeah, you had time to go see 2 movies in a day.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, we used to do those like pretty frequently, and it was the best, man.
Yeah.
It's been too long since I've done that.
It was fun. I mean, Captain Marvel, I really enjoyed, had a lot of fun watching it.
Yeah. You had more expectations than me going into it.
Yeah,
you like the comics and shit, right?
Yeah, I actually love Carol Danvers.
I knew nothing about Captain Marvel.
I had seen a picture of the cat, and she does have a cat in the comics named Chewie, which I assume because it's, obviously short for Chewbacca, but it has the double meaning of it's actually a flurker.
Yeah.
Flurker, whatever.
I was going to say flurber or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called.
And, eats tons of stuff. So that was like straight out of the comics. Everything, like all the characters were exactly as I expected them. The Kree Skrull War was a little bit of a twist that I liked.
Yeah. The movie just kind of dumps you out in the middle of nowhere, doesn't it?
Oh, man, you immediately start like alienated. You're just like, where are we? And how is this related to Marvel?
I know.
And then like also suddenly you're in like memory flashbacks that aren't full memories.
Yeah,
and,
dude.
Yeah, it starts off.
It was disorienting.
Yeah.
Like when it got to that first like gunfight, I felt kind of like left behind where it's like, guys, people are getting shot and I don't know who's who.
Yeah, who is getting shot by why?
Can we pause this and back up a little bit?
Right.
But then it's like it pretty well quickly gets you out of it.
Then it drops you in Blockbuster Video and makes you feel like you're right back at home.
Hell yes. Dude, I was so happy to see that this was a 90s story,
Yeah.
And I hope that it inspires them to do like to fuck around with the timeline. I mean, I guess they have in the 50s and 40s
there
with Captain America.
Like a lot of segments where they could throw in stories for sure.
Yeah, dude.
That would be interesting.
I would love to see stuff that's set in the fucking 80s.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like that they set this in a different time period for sure.
Me too.
What'd you think about Brie Larson?
I thought she was great.
That's her name, right?
Yeah, Brie Larson. I thought she was great as Carol Danvers because Carol Danvers has some quips and stuff. But she's also very serious.
Yeah.
She's a military person. I mean, like that, there's that drive. Captain Marvel in a lot of ways is like overpowered Captain America. And Marvel did Civil War II. And basically Carol Danvers was at the center of it, just like Captain America was at the center of the original Civil War. Cool. But like, yeah, she's like just this super overpowered Captain America where she is consistently dealing with issues of service to the country and also her own personal beliefs and things like that, and the fact that she has alien powers. Like that's a pretty big deal. Yeah.
It took me a while after watching the movie, but there was something different about her character that I couldn't quite put my finger on, where typically whenever whenever you see like a Wonder Woman or something like that,
right,
it's almost distracting how ridiculously gorgeous she is.
Right.
And I was noticing as I was watching this movie, I was like, what is different about this? Because obviously Brie is a very, very gorgeous woman too. And it finally clicked. It's because her legs aren't bare.
Right. She's wearing actual clothing.
Pants. Yeah. Like when you see these like costumes that they put women superheroes in and stuff, it's like, yeah, you're going to go fucking battle in like a bikini? Are you an idiot?
Yeah.
But in this movie, it's like what she's wearing is like
she's a warrior
combat suit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just kind of took a long time for me to hit me where I was like, why isn't she as like sexy as some of the other ones? And it's like, oh, it's because she's actually wearing the right costume.
Yeah.
So dumb, man.
It's
awesome.
Yeah, they did a great job not only having a good, strong female character. Definitely. And having other female characters associated with her. Monica Rambeau, who's the daughter of Maria Rambeau.
Right.
She is Captain Marvel for a period at a certain point. Cool. And even ended up like as the head of the Avengers for a little bit. Now I can't remember what her name is now. I think Spectrum is her name now.
Okay.
But she has some similar powers, etc.
That's cool. They introduced her as a kid in the 90s because that means if they want to bring her in now, she'd
exactly,
be an adult.
yeah, because like they're going to eventually have to move closer to what's going on now in the storylines with the new Avengers and stuff, because they're going to lose Robert Downey Jr. They're going to lose Chris Hemsworth. They're going to lose all these people.
These people are aging. Yeah, exactly. You can't do that literally forever.
Right. Yeah, so they're setting up new generations and stuff. I like that.
I'll tell you what I couldn't tolerate about the movie. All that blatant man hate that all of my incel friends said was in it.
The whole time I was there, I was like, can I even be proud to be a white man?
What's the world coming to, right?
It's so hard. It's hard for me. Because people look at me and think I'm racist, and I'm like, what? I'm not racist.
You know, I'm not racist, but...
I'm not racist, but...
And I'm not sexist, but...
Yeah, but, like, women shouldn't be involved in all this.
But I should be on the screen all the time.
Yeah, it should be just people that I think of as me.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, did you pick up on any, like... feminist Nazi man hate stuff in the movie, like at all? Like, what the fuck are people talking about?
I mean, that's the perfect. That's like the encapsulation of great feminism is just showing strong women.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't even have to say anything about it because that is enough.
Yes, exactly.
Exposing the world to strong women makes people go, "Oh, right, I can be a strong woman."
Well, and let's face it too. To all the meathead guys in the theaters that are watching some of this stuff, it's like the way you're gonna win them over isn't with showing a woman stomping a man's balls into the pavement.
Exactly.
It's just gonna be like you said, just more. Well, here it is. Here's a woman who's a badass.
Yep.
Any questions? Okay, I didn't think so.
Yep.
Moving on. Let's do more of this.
Yeah, and I did see one comment on Reddit that just blew my mind. The guy said, I couldn't identify with the main character. I know, it just blew my mind to think, like, he thinks when women watch white men always being the main character that they can identify, but it's hard for me.
Well, also, I love that
white man is normal and everything else isn't, right?
This also implies that this guy is watching Iron Man and he's going, billionaire genius in a metal suit?
Just like me,
totally
bro.
me.
Yeah.
This is my story, bro.
Hey, I paid for my ticket and her ticket, so I'm pretty much a billionaire.
I'm pretty wealthy, I guess, and I passed the ACT, so I'm somewhat of a genius.
I passed the ACT. Like, he showed up and took it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, all right.
The use of Just a Girl by No Doubt during that fight scene.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I didn't like that. You didn't? I was like, oh, come on. Like,
I liked
really?
it. Yeah.
Kate liked it. She was a big fan of that.
The music was great, though, of course.
Oh, yeah. The soundtrack was great, man. Although I maintain Hole or Nirvana, not both.
I mean,
make your choices. Make your choices.
I really like Hole. The Nirvana song they used, "Come As You Are," that was a really good moment to use that, I think. And then the whole song wasn't until the end, right?
I think so, right?
Yeah, it was just like over the closing credits.
Yeah. But still,
yeah,
I'll die on this hill.
Okay.
It was enjoyable. Some great humor in there. Like, dude.
Oh yeah, really funny stuff. Yeah, it's Samuel L. Jackson.
I was gonna say, like, do you get what I mean now? When I was telling you about, like, the side characters are worth watching the movie.
Yeah, because you get to see Samuel L. Jackson, who's been playing Nick Fury as Nick Fury, which is a badass who never tells anybody anything.
Yeah, exactly. You get to see his younger, softer days.
It's almost like he and Coulson. I guess spoiler alert. Coulson's in this movie. Of course he would be.
Yeah.
Because it's in the 90s and not. But he and Coulson, like, at the beginning, it reminded me of Men in Black.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
like, they're like the Men in Black of the era, and at first I was like, oh, this is weird. Is this going to be like his Will Smith moment where he finds out these things sort of exist? Because he sort of says that.
Yeah.
But then we see the Nick Fury. He's a spy. He does know more than he lets on. From the beginning. But yeah. It was really enjoyable to watch him have fun and play with a cat.
And it was just fun to see him, like, young again. How crazy is the de-aging stuff? How did they do it? Was that a young guy's body and they put his face on him?
They made him look like he did in 187, which came out in 1997, which was when it's set.
So they dyed his hair. And
No, they just took his like mannerisms and stuff from 187 and the way he looked, and then de-aged him to look basically like he did in 187.
So that is actually his body and stuff that we're seeing in the movie.
Oh yeah, it's him moving, but of course they're basically like that's why if you compare him to 187, his head is wider now. He's older, so he's gained weight and
right,
stuff.
Yeah. I just didn't know if they
still
did
like the way that he looks is his younger self. But no, I don't know if they did anything particular with his body, but they don't show his body much now that I think about it.
I was just wondering if they did it like they did Winklevoss twins in the Facebook movie, where they the social network where they put one face on like another guy and stuff. I didn't know if they did it that way. It's crazy to see though, because like it doesn't look like an effect. It's so subtle that you're like, oh my god, if this is the stuff that like Hollywood has access to like convince me they went back in time and got a 20 years younger Sam Jackson.
Yeah.
Holy shit, what else can they do?
Wait, who played the Winklevoss twins? Was it?
I might be thinking of something else.
No, you're right. That's what they did, because it was just the one actor. It wasn't twins. It was,
right, yeah. It was some super handsome dude.
Yeah. Anyway, I can't remember. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I didn't look, because like, again, I just watched it yesterday, and then we watched Us and all that stuff. Because I didn't look at it at all. I didn't like read anything up on it ahead of time. Yeah. Because I didn't want anything to be spoiled. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I
love that they also brought back. Is it Djimon Hounsou?
Djimon Hounsou is as Korath the Pursuer, and Lee Pace is Ronan the Accuser. Yeah.
Because like they showed him on screen, and I was like, wait, and I was like, oh yeah, they would still be around during this time period.
Exactly. Yeah. And obviously, some new characters you get introduced to. You have some expectations for them since you haven't seen them since then. But yeah, there were like some good deep like Marvel space lore, like the Galactic Wars type of lore that you wouldn't expect to see in a mainstream movie that made over $800 million opening weekend. Like,
yeah, dude.
Like you just wouldn't expect to see. But of course we got that with Guardians of the Galaxy. I remember when Guardians of the Galaxy was coming out, I was like, I don't know how they're going to do this.
Yeah.
Because Guardians was so weird and had so many different lineups and stuff. Well, it was like, what are they going to do with this?
That's the thing is, like, I grew up as a Marvel Comics kid. Yeah. And, like, whenever that movie was coming out, I was like, who are the Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah.
Like, Kate had been reading the comics.
It was a more obscure one, yeah.
Yeah, and she was, like, super stoked. And she's like, we're going to go see it opening night. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And then, it's like you said, it turns out it's, like, it's in my top 3 like best Marvel movies. It's the shit, dude.
They have, I mean, in the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, they have one of the original lineups.
Yeah, right.
And that was the lineup I knew
with Stallone and stuff.
Yeah, with that original lineup was Yondu used to be a part of the Guardians, but in the I guess in the MCU that's not. Oh wait, no, because
he did.
They were friends.
Yeah.
Going that weird, and then they went that weird with. Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad they can just go all the way now. Like,
oh, yeah. Well, because that's the thing is, like, ultimately, even though to us, as kids that grew up in the 80s and read these comics and all these stories about space aliens and all this kind of stuff, it's like, it's nerd shit to us.
Yeah.
Because we grew up when that stuff was considered to be nerdy and only geeks did it.
Now it's just...
They're cool stories.
Yeah, it's just cool stories everybody likes.
It's the modern mythology, man.
I wonder if we are ever gonna have the Spider-Man making a deal with Mephisto storyline.
Oh yeah,
yeah. The storyline, isn't that how he brought Gwen back? But like,
I think
he couldn't
so.
Be a part. He couldn't like be in a relationship with her.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. There's so much good shit that they can pull from, and that's just from the eras that I know. You know?
Yeah, and we came through one of the worst eras for comic book stories. The 90s, like so many extreme characters.
Oh my god, yes.
It was all about how they looked and nothing about the story.
Totally, all style, no substance. Yeah. Overall, like with Captain Marvel, to me, it's like, is it one of the best Marvel movies ever made? I don't think so.
No, but it's.
But if you like the Marvel universe, you should see it for sure.
I mean, like even the worst Marvel movie. I mean, what would you say it is? What?
Maybe Thor 2 is not very good.
Thor 2's
it's
a little boring, but yeah, it is still good.
Iron Man 2 is not. Iron Man 3
Iron
with
Man
the Mandarin
3,
is like,
yeah, I didn't love that. Though it's got the Shane Black dialogue and it's fun.
Yeah.
I didn't like how they undercut the Mandarin completely and just made it.
but even the worst Marvel movie is still like better than fucking Suicide Squad or something.
Oh yeah,
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'll even say better than that third Batman movie.
Yes,
The one with Bane in it.
Yeah, that one's
Dark Knight
not good.
Rises?
Dark Knight Rises, yeah.
Like all of them are still better than that. So,
Yeah,
if you're playing apples to oranges, there you go.
that's a fun game.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, apples to oranges.
What's your kind of assessment? Worth seeing?
Yeah, worth seeing.
Yeah.
And not even, I would say not even a middle of the road. I'd say a little bit above middle of the road.
I think so too.
Marvel movie.
What else you been checking out this week? Anything else good?
Sightseers.
What that is?
It's made by the Ben Wheatley, who did Kill List.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that movie's fucked up. I've been wanting to watch that
Movie's
again. lately,
real
man.
fucked up.
It's a weird one, man.
It's a good one. We should do it sometime. But,
dude, yeah. Why haven't we done that?
I don't know. Sightseers is it's also got horror elements, but it's more of a dark comedy.
Okay, yeah.
And it's basically like, okay, it's in some ways like Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Okay, all right.
But with a straight couple, and there are more jokes.
Huh. So it's a couple that kills some people,
Yeah,
they're a bit jokey.
Yeah, I don't want to say too much about it because it really is like just these two people who don't know much about each other learning more about each other, and as they learn more about each other, they discover they're both very fucked up people.
Do you think I'd like it?
Yes.
Yeah?
It's funny.
Where'd you
it's
watch
fun. I think that's on Amazon Prime or Hulu.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's streaming. Yeah.
Rad, man.
It's good.
I'll have to check that out, man.
Our listener Kev Bickerdike suggested it to me.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, check it out.
Making our worlds better, you dead and lovelies. Be sure to rate and review on iTunes. Thanks.
Hi.
Thanks, guys. Cut the music. We got ourselves a very special announcement from our very own Hollywood Steve. So you busters better tune in and listen up. Tell him, Steve.
Hey gang, Hollywood Steve here. We recently were contacted by a group called 60 Second Horror, which is a group of Charleston, South Carolina-based filmmakers and actors
Charleston represent.
who are putting together a film challenge that asks filmmakers to submit a 60-second horror film. So why am I telling you about this?
Hit him.
Well, all profits go to the Charleston Animal Society, which is an animal protection organization and no-kill shelter in Charleston, South Carolina.
Where my dog's at?
So what 60 Second Horror is going to do is they're going to take all the profits made from submission fees and donations at the live screening,
Yo, get him, Steve.
and they're going to give them to the Charleston Animal Society. So they're going to have a live screening at Craft Conundrum in Charleston, South Carolina on June 22nd,
That's 5 days before my birthday, motherfuckers.
where they're going to show the 10 best films in each of 6 different horror subgenres. Some of the celebrity judges this year include Mitchell Lichtenstein, writer and director of Teeth,
Them chompers gonna bite your dick off, boy.
Edwin Neal, the hitchhiker from Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Do you like head cheese, motherfucker?
and Betsy Baker, Linda from The Evil Dead. Films can be submitted at filmfreeway.com under 60 Second Horror Challenge. You can also check out 60 Second Horror on Facebook and Instagram, as well as on their website at 60secondhorror.com.
Oh yeah, you tell him, Hollywood Steve. And you busters be sure to check out 60 Second Horror and help support a great cause. Now let's slide right back into that old preview palace. Game over, motherfuckers. Now, Steve,
What?
as we step on into the preview palace before we get to our movie review here,
Welcome to the Preview Palace.
I have a little subject that I would like to explore here that I just think seems relevant considering the subject and nature of this movie, which is a brief list of my top 3 chairlifts I've seen in horror movies.
Okay.
Coming in at number 3, we're going to have the chairlift in Office Killer.
Okay.
I was really impressed by the chairlift
Right.
work in this movie. Very smooth,
Smooth. Looked like a fun ride.
not jarring, seemed to take care of
No.
Ma pretty well. Some good
Yep.
chairlift work in this.
What's number 2?
Number 2 is going to go to Gremlins, of course.
Yeah.
You know, Gremlins.
Gormlarms.
Yeah, Gormlarms. Also some quality. There's some chairlift humor in that movie.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, that's a small demographic they're playing to, but people that love chairlift humor love Gremlins for that reason.
Number 1.
And coming in at number 1 is going going to be Donald Pleasance's chairlift from Phenomena.
Yep.
Because it looked like a cheap and practical piece of shit.
It did.
Yeah. So there's my list of top 3 chairlifts.
All right.
You know, I think another thing that we should do here is, considering that this movie was made by Cindy Sherman.
That's the one.
Who is a renowned artiste.
I've heard of her.
A photographer of sorts.
Photographer.
And a true artist. I think a fun idea for us to do before we get on into the movie review is, if we spend just a little time here, I want to talk about my top 5 and your top 5 favorite artistes, because, you know, I grew up doing arts.
Yeah.
Before I started playing the musica and making the pizza. I do the painting. I do the painting.
Your pizza making lessons
are
really where you make your bread and butter.
That's where I buttercrust generously.
Buttercrust generously.
It is I, buttercrust generously. But, you know, whenever I started my days as a youth, I was always drawing and then got into painting and stuff like that. So art has always been a very important part of my life. I have a community college degree in art, which
I do
means
too.
Basically nothing for me.
I got a community college degree in art history because I didn't want to waste time making art.
Well, and indeed, art is what brought us together, hanging out in the painting room of Walter State Community College.
Yeah, we just posted a picture from way back in the day that Holly Ford took and developed herself.
We were just kinder kids.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of hunks.
Yeah, we really were.
Not a care in the world or a sock on our foot.
Looking back, I was like, man, who's this thick gentleman?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was. Because I used to.
Old man, look at me now.
I used to lift weights a lot more back then.
I had a weight training class in college that got pretty good to me.
Yeah?
Yeah. Should probably do that again. I should probably just move my body more, I think.
I feel like that wouldn't be a negative.
I think as we record, we should just flagellate our arms like this.
We should start recording on treadmills.
Oh, that's a good idea. By the end of the episode, we're like drinking beer on treadmills. We're like, oh, it's good. We gotta go. I'm done.
Every episode's 5 minutes long.
Yeah. So considering art has been a big part of both of our lives, I think we should let these bustas know about 5 artists each who have impacted our lives, our top 5 favorites. You want me to kick this thing off?
Yeah, go ahead and kick it.
I'm gonna go with one of my first art heroes, and indeed more than just an artistic hero, because he is a true Renaissance man.
He renaissed?
He renaissed the science. He's a guy who inspired me to think with my entire brain and not see limitations about I only do this, I don't do this. A guy who did just a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a whole lot of everything. I'm talking about a Leonardo da Vinci.
Oh, da Vinci.
One of my all-time favorite human beings.
Inventor of the aerial screw.
And the fireman's ladder.
That's true.
Invented the extendable ladder. Also did quite the painting. Also an architect. Also a sculptor.
Yeah.
Also probably homosexual.
That's true. And he could write with both hands.
Yeah, simultaneously.
Once. Yeah.
A real freak. Definitely somebody that would be recognized as being very on the spectrum these days.
Yeah.
An odd bird with unbelievable focus and fascination in everything. Da Vinci's journals and stuff are, to me, one of the most important, like, sacred texts I've ever encountered in my life. It's just unbelievably fascinating to study those things, because it's like he was just interested in everything.
Yeah.
And truly somebody that used his entire brain. So
yeah.
I would say Da Vinci has been a gigantic influence on me. Again, actually less as an artist and just more of as a person.
Okay. Yeah, I really do appreciate that about Da Vinci. I think polymaths in general, people who can excel in several areas, especially when they can do it among the arts and sciences, where they're able to just access all their brain. Always very interesting to me.
I think so.
Yep. Man, first person I think of when I think of my favorite artist is de Goya, Francisco de Goya.
Oh, yeah. Spaniard.
Yeah, I love his style.
Me too.
I love his use of light, and I love specifically his subject matter.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff on witches and Satan. Like,
a lot of dark stuff.
Dark stuff.
He did the one of is it Jupiter eating his children?
Yes.
That's just like hyper disturbing.
Yes.
You see used a lot in like horror stuff.
You do.
It's this zombie looking guy like biting the head off a baby
directly ahead.
That photo is terrifying.
Yeah.
It's utterly terrifying, and it's cool too. Like with the Goya stuff, if you look at his earlier works versus his later works, I've read some theories and stuff like this that like, well, you know, the paints and stuff they used back then had lead and all kinds of crazy shit in them. And basically, he kind of started losing his shit towards the end of his life. And his work became way more like disorganized and abstract and weird.
Well, and a lot of his work that he did in his later years, he just did on his walls.
No shit.
They had to come in and cut pieces of his wall off as like, this is now a priceless piece of art. Yeah.
Dude, that is so cool.
Yeah.
That's really awesome stuff, man. And didn't he do the one, I think on our witch episode, you talked about a De Goya piece with a goat and stuff, right?
That's that. He did a few with the goat and with witches, but specifically the Witches Sabbath is one that I love. Yeah.
Yeah, his stuff is awesome. That's a rad choice, man.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
What you got next?
Next for me, I'm gonna just lay out a Hello Dolly. Talk about a Salvador Dali.
Salvador Dali was the first artist I read a biography on.
What a weird, wild life that cat had.
He did have a crazy life.
Yeah. He didn't do drugs. He was drugs.
Drugs did him.
I love a lot of surrealist and Dadaist artwork. Mm-hmm. I love a lot of that stuff. In college, I really got into all those cats. And of course, you know, when people think Salvador Dali, they think of melting clocks and stuff like that. But so much of his work, especially his later work, like I think there's one called like tuna fishing or tuna hunting, and then like Columbus discovering the New World. Like, all of these later era paintings are just unreal. And I'll tell you, when you see them in person,
at the Dali Museum down there in Tampa.
Good God, I've never been there. Yeah. But I've just seen some of his works like at the High Museum in Atlanta and stuff like that. They had the one that's up close, like if you're 3 feet from it, it just looks like a bunch of like orange circles.
Right.
But then you get a few feet away from it and it's the Madonna and the Child. And then you back up more and it's a fucking ear.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that like when you see it in photographs, it does not do the same thing.
A lot of his later work was more of he was focused on trying to play with perception.
Yeah, and what it's like to look at.
Yeah, there are definitely like some stuff he did where depending what angle you're at, it looked different and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the kind of thing where to me it's just like to be able to, it's hard enough just to paint a really great realistic painting of the Madonna and the Child.
Yeah,
that's hard enough.
Yeah, I mean that's why it's such a common topic for painting and sculpting.
Yeah.
Is
one of the old classics.
The idea of two bodies, one with rigidity in life and the other completely dead and limp. Like you're practicing all of your skills in body drawing or body sculpting.
Right. And then it's like, it's hard enough to be like, okay, I can do that. Now, how can I also make it look like an ear? Like, how does your mind have to work to be able to understand that?
Well, lobster telephone is how.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Lobster phone.
The moment that you're at lobster phone and you're like, you're on Dolly's level.
I love his stuff, man, very much. And the dreamlike, strange quality and also just the technical virtuosity of it all. Yeah. That guy could paint his damn dick off.
Yeah.
I love that guy's work very much.
Yeah. The cuboidal crucifixion, the one where like Christ is like out ahead of the cross, that one's really cool.
Yeah. And then there's that other one where it's like looking down on the cross.
Yeah.
That's very strange. Yeah, the one you're talking about is where the cross is like a fucking tesseract.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. Mm-hmm. It's really awesome, man.
That's cool.
Love that stuff. Next for you.
This is one that honestly you just have to see his work to get why I like him so much. But Mark Rothko.
Yeah,
you can see the pictures.
He's a love it or hate it guy.
Yeah, you see the pictures of it and be like, it's just colors and squares.
Yeah,
but you see it live and you're like, oh my gosh, like you can see the texture and you can see the depth of the paint and stuff. Like,
he's for those of you guys who don't know, he's a color field artist. I think he's kind of the guy that started that game.
Yeah, I think he was one of the early ones for sure. But yeah, like color field work and stuff like, I mean, I'm gonna name another one in a little bit, and another one after that.
Nice.
But I love obviously representations of reality and stuff like that. But just as I said, I love De Goya. Like De Goya, he had his own style. Like nothing was reality in his later work.
Wasn't photorealistic at all.
Not even close. I'm not a huge fan of photorealism. I mean, I obviously appreciate it. Like, Chuck Close type of photorealism where
Unreal.
it's just like, how?
Just on
How
an
did
entirely
you do
technical level, it's very impressive.
Very
I know what you mean.
impressive. But it's not my style. It's not the thing I'm interested in.
Yeah, photorealism is interesting to me because from one perspective, you look at it and you're just like, my God, you did that with a pencil.
Right.
And it looks like a fucking photo.
Right.
That's insane. But then at the same time, you're just kind of like,
photos exist.
Photos exist. Yeah, it's like you can do that with a photo.
Right.
It's kind of like I hear all these guitar players that are messing around with all these like crazy sounds and make it sound like a synthesizer, just everything but a guitar.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what the guitar does best is sound like a guitar.
Yeah.
You could just play a keyboard. It'd be a lot easier. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like photorealism is about the process more than the product.
Yeah, definitely so. Definitely so. Unless you're just looking at a technical level. If you're
Right.
like a technique freak, I guess.
Yeah.
With Rothko's stuff and with color field work, I'll tell you, like whenever I came across that stuff for the first time, and your first instinct is to look at it and go, okay, this is 2 colors on a piece of canvas. And you go, well, I could have done that.
Right.
And that's when you get to a really important principle in art and just movies and in anything that really helps me reevaluate worth of things. When you see something for the first time and you look at it and you go, well, I could have done that. Just remember, you could have done it, but you didn't.
Right.
He did.
You can do it now because you see it.
Because you've seen it.
Yes.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it, man. And yes, anybody could make a convincing looking Rothko painting. You don't have to have painting chops to do it.
Yeah. It's very simple.
Yeah, you could do Jackson Pollock all day. Anybody could do that.
100%. I'm by the way, I'm cutting one of my color field. I realize I have 3.
Okay.
I'm cutting one and replacing somebody else. Anyway, go ahead.
But the thing that struck me about color field stuff is I didn't appreciate it. Like I said, I saw it in photos and art books, and I was like, that's dumb. I could have done that.
Yes.
But then I'll tell you what the difference was. Is the first time I was at a museum, and when you stand in front of one of these things, and you have to stand close enough to it that it is literally your entire field of vision.
Right.
You're not seeing the carpet. You're not seeing the ceiling.
Right.
You're not seeing the edges of the
Just
frame.
seeing the piece.
You're just seeing just these colors, and it's literally all that your eyesight contains.
Yeah.
It's completely different. It's completely
really
different.
is.
It's like almost overwhelming.
It is.
Where it's like my whole reality right now is just this intense green or whatever he chose to put on the canvas,
The thing is, like when you think of it, because I mean, both of us have painted.
Yeah.
I'm terrible. I'm not even interested in pretending I'm good at it. But you learn a lot just from standing at an easel and trying to paint.
Oh, yeah. Oh, do you ever?
One of the things you learn is that color consistency is not
It's hard.
automatic.
Yeah.
It's real tough.
Yeah, it is.
And so when you go, like, I think...
hell, if you've ever fucking done house painting and painted a wall
Exactly,
in intense
yeah,
color, you
exactly.
find that shit out fast.
So I think we were at the High Museum in Atlanta. We took an art club trip.
Yeah.
And there were...
We ate at a Red Lobster on the way home.
We did.
See, there's my weird dinner memory thing. Like, why do I remember that?
I don't remember the artist, but one of the paintings was 3 easels, and it was red, blue, and green. Mm-hmm. And they were huge.
They were, yep.
And it was one consistent red, blue, and green.
Yeah.
To be able to do that without any like appearance of brush strokes and stuff like that.
It's near inhuman.
It's insane.
I recommend you try it if you think it's very simple.
Yeah,
It's
so
really
honestly,
not.
if you look at a color field painting and think that's easy, try to do it.
Yeah, try
See
it
if
out
you can do
sometime.
it. In fact, if you do it, maybe you can make some money off
I was
of
gonna
it.
say, it's so easy. Fucking go sell these things for thousands of dollars.
So
dude.
many novelists started that way, by the way. So many novelists read books and were like, I could do this, and then did it.
Yeah, and then they fucking did it.
So
right.
when you look at a piece of art and you think I could do this, I'm not even trying to say like, no, you couldn't. I'm saying maybe you could.
do it. Yeah, exactly.
We need more art in the world.
Exactly. Well, it goes back to don't curse the darkness, light a candle, as Kevin Smith says. That's it, man. If you think you can do it, do it.
Who you got?
Okay, next on my list is going to be somebody that might seem like actually I got a couple of these on here. Might seem like a small potato, but I'm putting him on here because he is legitimately one of my favorite artists and made a big impact on me as a young person when I was back in my super artsy days. I'm talking about one of my favorite comic book artists, Chris Bocciolo.
Oh, I didn't think about comic book artists.
Right?
Oh, okay.
Well, the thing is like, whenever I was a kid, like, all I did was draw superheroes.
Yeah,
and, like, video game characters and stuff.
Yeah, well, and we were at that period where comic book artistry was, like, becoming a thing where you started knowing Jim Lee's name. And
Right. Rob Liefeld, like a rock star.
Yeah, and they weren't I mean, not to say that those old 70s and 80s comics didn't have a great style to them.
Yeah.
And people do love those, but like the 90s, they were more stylized.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
yeah,
also
guys
due to printing techniques, they were able to do more interesting things with color. I mean, back in the day, they had like what?
Yeah,
12 color dot matrix printing. It's like they couldn't really do much with it.
Yeah, so you had guys like Jim Lee, who's his crisp pen lines and stuff, or Jim Lee the moment you see Jim Lee. Like,
incredible stuff.
So and who is this?
Chris Bachalo. So
right, okay, I know who he is.
Yeah, see, I got to know his stuff through his run that he did on Generation X.
Yes.
Which was a Marvel comic in, I would say, 95, 96, something like that.
Yeah, that's when it first came out.
I was kind of in those, like, early teen or preteen kind of years, and it's the story about these teenage mutants and stuff. And
not ninjas, though.
No, nor turtles.
Nor are they turtles.
Turtles. Not a turtle amongst them. Mm-hmm. And that series was so cool because it had all the X-Men elements of, like, superpowers and stuff, but then it also had all these just, like, teenage things in there that like I could really relate to as a young dude.
Yeah.
And it was all brought to me by Chris Bachalo's style, which is kind of like if Alphonse Mucha was born in like the 80s and became an artist in the 90s.
Okay.
That's kind of what it looked like. It has somewhat of an Art Deco kind of look about it. I could have put Mucha on this list too. I love Mucha's work.
Yeah.
Mucha. He's Mucha.
Probably Mucha.
The one with all the ladies. Yeah. And it'll say like May or whatever on top.
Yeah.
So Chris Bachalo's stuff kind of sort of looks a bit like that, only a little bit more 90s. It's like a touch of Daria or something in there. Right. And yeah, I love his work, and it was a big influence on me. And it was very different from the other kind of artists that I really liked at the time. I mean, I loved Jim Lee. I loved John Romita Jr. And John Romita Sr. for that matter.
Right.
A couple of the Spider-Man artists, Mark Bagley. I loved his
Mark
art.
Bagley stuff was great.
To me, like when I think of Spider-Man, I think of Mark Bagley's Spider-Man. That's the guy that I think of. And Jim Lee's Spider-Man stuff is also fucking awesome. Anything Jim Lee did was amazing.
Jim Lee stuff.
And Jay Lee as well.
Oh, see, Jay Lee, I was going to mention Jay Lee particularly because especially his early stuff where it was almost like he was doing the opposite of Jim Lee, where he was trying to be less crisp and more like blurry and a lot more
bubbly kind of.
Yeah. Which also like led to like sort of flash in the pan comic book artist Stephen Platt.
Oh yeah, Platt.
Do you remember him?
I
like,
do.
He was real big for a quick moment. He did like the last 3 Moon Knight from the first series.
Moon Knight always had some sick art in it. Yeah.
And then he did Prophet.
That's right.
Yeah, and his stuff was just like there were no clean edges. There were no like crisp straight lines or anything. It was all over the place and had like manic feeling.
Right. Yeah, and Chris too, like Chris always did all kinds of neat stuff, like just hide little things like all over his pages. Like he had a big thing. Actually, it's funny you were talking about turtles. He had a thing for like hiding turtles in the frames. And like putting ladybugs on stuff.
Okay.
Just these little things that just made you go, oh, that's a Chris thing. So loved his art, made a big impact on me. I'll always love those comics and stuff too. He's gone on to do a bunch of other stuff, but those are the ones that I remember. He did, I think, probably the first I want to say 25 or 40 issues, something like that. He had a pretty big run. And I think he did, I can't remember the other stuff he did. He also did the Age of Apocalypse Generation Next stuff.
Yeah, which looked great.
That
was like, I mean, all of the different titles for the Age of Apocalypse storyline had a very specific look, but the Generation Next was like
Loved
the
it.
best.
The best, dude.
Yeah.
Loved it, man. Okay, so next on your list.
Okay, so I'll break up the color fields.
Bust them up.
Yeah, and I'll say Joel Peter Whitkin.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
The Insidious.
Joel Peter
He's
Whitkin,
a nasty man.
He is. Joel Peter Whitkin, if you don't know about him,
don't maybe not
careful.
Google image that.
Yeah, don't Google image search Joel Peter Whitkin at work.
Yeah, definitely not.
A lot of his work was with corpses.
Actual corpses.
Real life corpses.
He would get corpses off like the streets in Mexico.
Yeah. And then like do stuff with the bodies.
Yeah.
It's real weird stuff.
Yeah.
He's got a real weird, obviously strange vision, but man, they look great.
It's insane.
There's some great photos. He also did a lot of stuff with amputees and just different looks of the body. And
right.
I guess his real obsession is bodies and like what what do they mean? Like, what? Like, are they us? Like, how much of us is in the body? Like, how much should we care when we're dead?
Yeah.
What happens to us? Like,
and it's really, as far as the corpse thing goes, it's like to all of us, normal people, we look at that and we're like, that's hyper morbid and disturbing.
Right.
But honestly, it's like, to him as a photographer, it just might have been that, like, well, there's nothing you can't do with a corpse as far as posing it, or like, if I just want a head, cool, I'll just take the head off.
This movie made me think a good bit about him.
I can see that.
Yeah, because there's a good bit of that. Like,
yeah.
I mean, but that's also Cindy Sherman. She also has done,
and I know she's
stuff.
very aware of him for sure.
Right.
I think one of the most, when you said his name, the piece that just pops into mind immediately is there's two severed heads
right
on a
the
doily,
kiss.
With their lips sewn together.
Yeah, it's called The Kiss,
and they're real.
They're real heads sewn together.
Not normal.
It's not normal. He's got some very strange stuff, but like I like how transgressive and weird he is. Like, when I think of, I wanted to have a photographer on here, and I think of favorite photographers are the people that do the weirder stuff.
Yeah.
But
I like Ann Geddes a lot.
Yeah, she's putting them babies and Cabbage Patches and shit.
Yeah. Big fan of her work. She's real good.
But like, I think of the people that do the weirdest stuff as the most interesting, because I think when you get into photography, you either need to be capturing the harshness of reality, which we see from like
real
war
moments.
journalism and stuff like that,
right?
Or you need to be coming up with something different, like
capturing reality in a way that people have never seen.
Right. So like, so much of photography for me, it's like, the subject's nice and the framing is great or whatever, but I don't care.
I could have looked at that with my own eye.
Right. Yeah.
But I ain't never seen no corpses with the lips sewn together.
You're not gonna be seeing any Joel Peter Wicked stuff except in nightmares.
Yeah. If you're lucky, you'll never see anything like it. That's a good choice, man. That's a good choice. Somebody like Robert Mapplethorpe would also go on that
that's
list.
Well, Mapplethorpe, especially when you're talking about his use of contrast in black and white, because he did almost exclusively black and white.
I think so.
Yeah.
A lot of illicitly sexual stuff.
Just that picture of just a big erect dick.
Yeah.
Didn't they projected that on the side of like the Capitol building or
Holy
something,
shit, really?
right? Yeah, they projected a bunch of his work on the side of one of the buildings in DC. It was a big scandal Cindy Sherman was caught up in too.
No kidding.
The national funding of the arts was going to, like, Robert Mapplethorpe got funding to take pictures of just dicks.
Yeah.
And so there was a big scandal.
So what we're saying is follow your dreams, y'all.
Yeah, do it.
Follow your dreams. It's a good inclusion to the list, Steve.
Who you got next?
Next on my list is an artist that I just got into a couple of years ago named Gerhard Richter.
Yeah. Okay.
Have you seen his stuff? His stuff is really interesting because, again, kind of going back to the Da Vinci thing, he's not really sticking to one thing over and over and over. There's a documentary about him that you can watch that shows him painting and a lot of his techniques.
What's
and stuff.
it called? Do you know?
I do not remember what it's called, but if you Google Gerhard Richter documentary, guess what? You'll find it. It's like, you don't have to work that hard to find it. But what a lot of people know him for is his use of scraping techniques in his paintings and doing lots. He uses big squeegees and stuff.
Just big black scrapings.
Yes. And he'll do it by layering all kinds of different layers of paint on top of each other and selectively scraping certain parts away. And it's purely abstract.
One of my teachers at Walter State was way into him. I remember he showed us a bunch of prints that he had personally made.
Wow.
Because he was super into him, and his stuff is only recently gotten more popular.
Yeah, he's been around a while though.
Yeah.
I'll even say that those things had a huge impact on me because for any guitar nerds that are listening to this, you might have seen that guitar that's hanging on the wall right there, the kind of bluish and purple one that's hanging up.
Yeah.
I was inspired to that's a technique that I've just called scrape painting that I made up after Kate went to Chicago and saw an exhibit of Richter's work and came back with all kinds of photographs. I was going to swirl paint that guitar, and I saw these photos of his work, and I was like, man, that would look bitchin' on a guitar.
Yes.
So I just tried the technique out. And of course, I'm not doing it nearly as good as he does, but that's something that has directly impacted me in terms of I learned a painting technique that I've used on guitars that people kind of identify with me, but it's like it's a Gerhard Richter thing. I tell everybody that, you know.
Well, yeah,
so that's pretty cool.
That is all. I mean, everybody is building
cannibalizes.
off of something else.
Yeah.
Even the most outlandish, the newest developments, they're building off of something.
Yeah, sure. Nothing comes from nothing.
Right.
But the other side of his work too is he does also photorealistic stuff, which we were talking about just a second ago.
That's interesting.
But here's the thing about it that's odd. He doesn't do photorealistic as in he's doing a pencil drawing that looks exactly like a black and white photograph of a person. He does photorealistic in that he paints in photographic distortions into his work. Like things that are out of focus.
Okay.
He captures it in paint so well that it's unbelievable.
That's crazy.
Like whenever you see like a Polaroid photograph, like he can paint exactly like that.
So like
it's strange.
Photorealism with a focus on the photo part.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, focus on the process of a photo.
Yes,
Like being able to duplicate the process of a photo.
Yeah.
Through
a different medium.
Drawing.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not photorealism as in this. That's how my eye looks at it.
Yeah.
That's how a camera looks at it.
Right.
It's really
That's
crazy.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's just interesting too to see somebody who can be so incredible at abstract stuff, and then also so fucking good at that too. It's bizarre. Like that guy's brain is working on a whole different level than the rest of us.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Love Gerhard Richter's stuff. Be sure to check some of that out.
I wanted to do something that was a little different. I'm not big on sculpture.
Okay.
So I picked a performance artist.
Oh wow.
Marina Abramovich.
I don't know who that is.
Okay, well, you should watch the documentary.
That's the Scarlet Witch, isn't it?
That's the Scarlet Witch. That's her. Marina Abramovich.
I loved her in Avengers too.
She's so good. Yeah.
Okay, performance artist.
There's a documentary called "The Artist Is Present" that
I've heard of that.
Documents some of her work and documents specifically her work on display. She put herself in a chair with a chair opposite her.
Oh, I know this person.
And
yes.
People would just sit down and do whatever they wanted. They could stare.
Yeah.
They could talk. They could do whatever. Man, very affecting. A lot of her other stuff is much more conceptual. That was just really about the artist being eye to eye with the
viewer.
consumer, the viewer.
It's like you are the piece at that point.
Yeah, but she has other stuff that's just real interesting. One is a man and a woman, and the man is holding the string of a bow with an arrow, and the woman is holding the bow itself. So the arrow's pointed at her.
Oh.
And it's like this situation of like the male-female dynamic where in so many cases man is physically larger. He has the ability at any moment to cause the female harm.
Yeah.
And it's a trust exercise that he doesn't. Like it's saying a lot about male-female relations and the problem of masculinity and patriarchy and things like that. But like at the same time, it's two actual people in physical space, dude. It's not a drawing of it or something. Yeah, it's a real thing.
Is she also the one that did the thing where she just like stood in a room naked and let people do whatever they want to?
Yes, and it got
really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a bold ass move.
It is a bold ass move.
Some people were like hugging her.
Yeah.
And then some people were like cutting her with a knife.
Yep.
And like spitting on her. And that's just like the true ugliness of humanity on display.
It is. Well, and that's what I think she talks about, how that certainly inspired a lot of the Artist Is Present, where there's instead of it being in sort of a black box theater, it being set in a museum. The fact that it's set in a museum makes people act differently. They treat it differently. Treat it more like art. A piece of art that they're observing.
Yeah, but you're a real life human.
Yeah,
that's pretty interesting stuff, man. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
That's a good addition to the list. Yeah, I went all visual on mine.
Yeah, whatever.
Dang it. Last on my list, Steve.
What you got?
So the last one on here is another comic booksman.
Oh yeah.
That I would say was one of the biggest influences on me in terms of like how I was trying to draw comic book characters and stuff back in the day. Because I love his work so much, especially when he came into the the run of the Uncanny X-Men and later the Astonishing X-Men and all kinds of other stuff. I'm talking about Joe Madureira.
Oh, okay.
Joe Madureira is the guy that really, in my opinion, brought anime and manga to the United States. That guy's stuff, whenever I saw it,
popularized it for sure.
For sure, yeah, for sure. Because, like, basically, whenever I saw his stuff, again, in those early X-Men comics and stuff, it's like, it was unlike anything I had ever seen. Because, you know, growing up in fucking Tennessee, it's like, and not having the internet, I never knew what manga or anime was. I saw, like, maybe, like, Dragon Ball on TV or something like that every now and then, or Sailor Moon.
Used to play it on the Cartoon Network.
Yeah. But it's like, that's about it.
Yeah.
And that's a far cry from stuff like Ninja Scroll and Ghost in the Shell and stuff like that. So whenever Joe's stuff started popping up over here, I was instantly, I think like a lot of other people, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, the way the men looked super angular and jagged.
Right.
And the women were like super beautiful. He drew women beautifully and stuff. And especially the way he did hands and eyes and everything was just amazing. I was completely fascinated by hair. His hair stuff looks great too. And in interviews, people would ask him, it's like, because again, nobody knew what he was doing. They were like, where are you getting this style from? And he's like, oh, I just like Ninja Scroll and Appleseed and all these like mangas and stuff. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck that is.
That was back when you could truly be a hipster.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm into stuff nobody's heard of.
Yeah, because other people really hadn't heard of it. And even if they wanted to, couldn't get a hold of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because even knowing the term, you know, Ninja Scroll, I couldn't go to the comic shop and get that.
Yeah, they didn't have it.
Yeah, or they'd be like, we can order it from Japan. It'll be $80.
Right.
It's like, my allowance isn't going to allow for that, dude. Yeah, so I saw that guy's stuff, and again, he did the Astonishing X-Men run and Age of Apocalypse stuff, which, as I've said many times, is my fucking favorite shit ever. And really endeared me to him with those works right there. And he did a bunch of other comics too, tons of stuff. His own series, Battle Chasers. And he's even done some like work with video game stuff too, which is really neat. Big influence on me as an artist and exposed me. Yeah, I'm not like, again, like a big anime and like, and you can tell because I'm saying manga and not manga. So you know I'm not that much of a nerd and super into it. But it did expose me to a lot of new things that I wouldn't have encountered otherwise.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah, good stuff.
I didn't think of more modern artists, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Like, there's a lot of really great stuff being made. Like, you know, Gallery 1984 is a gallery in LA that specializes in like pop culture art.
Okay.
I'd check them out. Just check out their website and look at some of the stuff they have. They'll do like stuff where they'll have like a theme where all of their regular artists will make something like Mario themed or whatever.
Cool.
Yeah.
Kind of pop art based stuff.
Yeah, cool stuff. My last one is Barnett Newman.
I don't know who that is either.
Okay, Barnett Newman is color field, like basically large canvases of singular colors with maybe a few singular colored lines going straight down or whatever.
Okay.
Like, it's real interesting to me because I saw his stuff in books, and again, it just didn't have the same effect as when I saw in DC at what is the art museum there? The art museum.
The Smithsonian,
DC. Yeah, sure. I don't remember which one
They
it
got
was.
the Museum of Modern Art.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think it was at MoMA.
Yeah.
Maybe. Anyway, so Barnett Newman, and I'll just look something up to show you an idea, but he did this entire sort of Stages of the Cross series and like just look at it, like there's not much to it seems. It's real simple stuff, but at the time, especially seeing it in person, it really suddenly had an effect on me where I was oh my gosh, I get what he's doing. I don't like I don't know. I'm sure most people, when they look at it, it's not even that they don't get it, it's that they don't care to get it. Like, it's just so simple. But like,
it's like blue with another stripe of a different color blue. But, but like, even like if you look at it, like one blue will be very textured and the other one isn't. There's a lot of small differences.
So he's working with textures, he's working with his layers and stuff. It really does need to be seen in person.
Yeah, I was going to say all those things are just eliminated the minute that you see it in 2D. I always say about art that it's very, very much like watching a YouTube video that was captured on a cell phone of a concert of your favorite band in concert versus seeing them in concert.
Yeah, it's way different.
Yeah, when you're hearing, look at it this way, when you're hearing that entire spectrum of sound being reproduced by how small is that speaker in your fucking
tiny
cell
little
phone?
speaker on a cell phone.
Yeah, exactly. Versus every molecule of air around your head vibrating.
Right.
It's not the fucking same at all.
No.
You know? And I think photos of art and seeing it in person is very different.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think you're right. I think a lot of times whenever people see stuff and they don't like it, I think that if they saw it in person, they would probably be singing different tune.
Pollock is that way.
Yeah.
If you see Pollock stuff, like, first off, it's gigantic.
Yeah, they're huge, yeah.
So big.
Yeah.
But, like, you just see stuff in there. Like, there's a lot more to it. And a lot of his colors, too. Like, I don't remember the title of one, but I remember seeing one in particular, and there was a seafoam green in there that I just, like, it never gets out of my mind, and I always look for it. When I see something kind of seafoam green, I'm like, is it that same green?
Wow, you're
and
chasing
it
that
never
dragon.
is. It's never that same exact, and maybe it's the contrasting colors around it that make it look that way, but, like, I don't know. I like a lot of his stuff.
That's cool, man. I think on our Instagram we should post, like, maybe, like
some
a
stuff
piece
that we
from
like.
each of these people, so that people can check them out and
That's a cool
hopefully
idea.
be inspired to go see them in the flesh someday.
Or
if you
just
can.
make art
Yeah, or just do that.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, hopefully maybe you see some of the stuff and you're like, I can fucking do that, and you try it.
and do it. Yeah.
Good for you. Steve, before we get on to the movie review portion here, I want to crack open another beer.
What we gonna be drinking on?
We started off having cold beers.
Yeah, but
Then
now we're at Kabir's.
Beers. You have a cold beer and then a co-beer.
Uh-huh.
Fuck it, man. Kabir.
Kabir.
Give me a
Then
Kabir.
Cub.
This is another Michiganite from our man Tim. He sent us this one. This is from Frankenmuth Brewery, which is in Frankenmuth, Michigan.
Yep, and it has a picture of a dachshund on it.
That it does. He's smoking a pipe and
It's
he's
a
wearing
Hefeweizen called the Hef.
a smoker's jacket too. I think he is meant to be in the visage of one Hugh Hefner.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, so if it tastes as cute as that looks, we're
in for a treat.
How does cute taste? Now that I think about it,
That's a good question.
you ever taste something and you go, "Oh, cute."
Oh, that's pretty cute tasting. I'm sure there's something. Give me a minute.
Yeah.
Give me a minute. I'll come up with something there. I enjoy a Hefeweizen. Hefeweizen was one of the first non, lager type beers that I kind of got into.
It's a very accessible sort of brew for sure.
But there's some
Sweet.
that you have that are like exceptional.
Yeah.
So
let's see if this is one of those.
This is nice and clear, nice light looking. It's only a 5.2 ABV, so it's not too much of an ass kicker. Sometimes Hefeweizens can get a little cloying with that kind of banana-y.
Too sweet. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The banana-y flavor.
Yeah. Some of them are like very banana and very clove tasting.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be a little bit too much where like you're halfway done. You're like, yeah, I've had about enough of this. Hopefully this one isn't quite that way. What's your first impression of that thing? It smells pretty good. It smells pretty dry. It doesn't smell overly
It is
sugary.
dry. It's dry. It's smoky.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like a farmhouse ale, but like not as intensely smoky.
And that isn't super sugary at all.
No, it's pretty dry.
It
Clean
still has
finish.
a little
good
bit of
stuff.
that, malty banana-y, kind of like
it's
almost like a
there.
Bananas Foster kind of flavor because it's like a little cinnamony or something in there too,
Yeah,
but subtly so.
there's a good spice to it. I like it.
Yeah, I do too, man. A wonderful choice. Thank you so much. Again, so many people have donated us some killer
seriously.
beers. If you want us to sample the beers of your town, drop us an email.
Yeah, we'll send you an address. You send us a beer address.
How about that? We'll send you some fresh, steaming podcasts every week for
That's true.
over 100 episodes.
Man,
Seems like a pretty
Seriously.
good bargain for everybody.
It is a
I
pretty
think.
good deal.
I think
It
so.
is.
Now, Steve, the subject of our show today is Ofice Killer from 1997.
off ice.
It's about a disgruntled hockey player.
Yeah, he heals when he's off the
Off
ice.
the ice.
Uh huh. Wait,
So-
that's Jason.
Oh, yeah, I
Jason
guess so.
Voorhees.
Yeah, he's an off-ice
We
killer.
watched Friday the 13th.
Okay, guys, yeah, let's just cut to the chase right here. So, was this the first time you watched this flick?
Yeah, I had never seen this.
I'd never
had
heard
seen
of it until you suggested it for the show.
Well, like I had seen it listed because, like, for Women's Month last year and this year, like it just wanted, and just generally, I want to do stuff with female filmmakers, but there just aren't a ton.
There's not a ton.
Horror movies directed by women.
Yeah.
Or at least not enough that you can do one regularly every month, like, unfortunately, or you'll run out pretty quick. And so I'd seen this in lists, and the picture that it would often show was Carol Kane kind of late in the movie when Kim is saying that, you know, Carol, or that Doreen attacked her in the...
Yeah.
And it shows her sitting at her desk just sort of looking up and looking menacing.
Yeah.
And I always thought, like, man, that looks interesting. But it was never enough to make me just sit down and watch it.
Sure.
I'm glad I did.
Yeah. So you watched it. You watched it once, and did you see it a second time?
Yeah, I watched it a couple times for this, and I'm glad I did. I'm going to say for sure that this is not a complicated movie.
No.
But that it is shot by an obvious artist.
Yeah, definitely.
The shots are more complicated than the story itself.
Well, and honestly, too, it's one of those situations where it seems like a lot of people online really hate this movie. Like, people fucking hate it. Like, I read a bunch of reviews.
A terrible Rotten Tomatoes score and shit.
Yeah, like I was reading a bunch of IMDb reviews, and there were so many like 1-star, like this is the worst movie I've ever seen reviews, where it's like, good Lord, people really hated this thing. But it's like, ultimately, what could you have necessarily added to this movie that would make it better? Would like a love story make this better? Not really.
No, that would have definitely hurt it. I think
it's only like an hour 20 too. It's barely even a
short
movie.
It's got, I mean, for a horror movie, it fits in the vein of Maniac, which we've done.
Yeah.
Go check that episode out. Don't Go in the House, which is one we've talked about doing.
That's one that I don't know anybody else that has seen. That is hyper weird.
But whereas,
and maybe even Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of Henry
too.
And definitely, and we'll be doing this movie in the future, Sleepaway Camp 2, which I don't think you've ever watched it.
I want to say I watched it once.
Okay. It has some Sleepaway Camp 2 to it as well, but like,
I would say the connective tissue between this movie and those is that they're movies where the killer isn't the villain or whatever in the movie. The killer is the main character, and we follow their story and their narrative.
Yeah, and we kind of sympathize with them a little.
Right.
In Maniac, it's less so than, say, in this, but we kind of sympathize with them a little bit, and also we see them doing horrendous things, but you also kind of, like, in this, you get that she's alone, and that she also had, like, childhood trauma and things.
Right.
You get that, but you're never, like, just like with Maniac, you're never on her side entirely. You're still just like, no,
you're
this
doing
is
horrible
weird.
things, right?
You're being very strange.
Right. Well, it's cool because, like, those kinds of movies, I think, are so disturbing in a lot of ways, because it shows you not only what these killers are doing when you think of them killing and stuff, but it also shows what happens when they go home after that.
Yes.
What's the home life? Like, what's the difference of and also the public versus private lives of these people? Because, you know, whenever you learn about a lot of these serial killers and stuff like this, and you learn about how their public face and their private face were something oftentimes completely different.
Yeah.
It's cool to see that explored in movies.
It is.
And it's not done a lot, and it's not done well very often, but it's one of those things that I find to be hyper ultra disturbing, because this is stuff that happens all over the world all the time.
It really is strange to know that there are people probably right now with a corpse in their home.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
And
yeah.
They talk to it
in the crawl space or something too, right? Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And also, you know, one thing that differentiates this from those movies, there's rarely ever movies, especially this kind of thing, about female serial killers.
Yes. Yeah. Like a female serial killer is a more rare occurrence than a male serial killer.
They happen. People say there's never been one. That's not true.
They do happen, and they're not all angels of mercy and nurses, you know, etc. Some of them are like full on, like Belle Guinness, like full on murder because I don't care about people and shit like that.
And your Elizabeth Bathory's.
There's so many in the past, but like you just don't see it reflected a lot in horror movies.
Yeah.
But when it is, it's usually comical, like say Sleepaway Camp 2,
right? Or it's like a sexy nurse killer,
right? Yeah, where they're using their sex appeal,
yeah.
And Carol Kane's not doing that.
Well, it's like I remember whenever
She can't even use her sex appeal to get her eyebrows on right.
Right.
Like-
yeah. Yeah. Those eyebrows, dude. But I think the truth about female serial killers is I think there's been a lot more of them in history.
Yes, they've
I think
been
there's
overlooked.
been tons more, and they've been smart enough to not get caught.
Well, and a lot of times, like, I mean, this is true of certain periods, not always, but certain periods. It would have been assumed that a woman couldn't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they would just get away with it because there's no way they were ever going to assume it was a woman.
That's something, just to take it back for a second, I forgot to mention in our Jennifer's Body episode that we did last week. Did you notice how that was even in that movie a little bit too? Like whenever the cops were talking, they're like, we'll find the man that did this. It's like they just assume a woman couldn't have done it.
And even if she could, she wouldn't, because women have this natural motherly instinct toward people or all that bullshit. It's just overlooked. And this, it's like they show her like she doesn't like taking care of her mom. Mm-hmm. She killed her dad, basically.
Yeah, and paralyzed her mom as a result of the car crash.
She doesn't display sex appeal. She doesn't display outward beauty. She's not going out of her way to make men feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Like, she's not the type of female serial killer you've ever seen before, really, in a movie.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure there are other films where there are female serial killers.
Similar,
but this one...
she's not Catwoman, is what you're saying.
Yeah, she's specifically not Catwoman.
Very specifically.
I think it says that, yeah.
Yeah, although she's kind of like... She's more like Catwoman lady at the first of the movie.
Right.
She's more similar to that, really.
She's like, Michelle
Imagine
Pfeiffer.
if Catwoman never got powers, it'd be this movie. Hell here.
Exactly what it would be.
Yeah, it's an alternate universe story is what it really is. And she is played by Carol Kane. And like we said, Carol Kane, it's like I knew her from Kimmy Schmidt, Addams Family, a lot of really funny stuff.
She's in other
Scrooge.
horror movies.
She's in Scrooge.
Oh yeah, Scrooge. She is in some other horror movies.
Yeah?
She's in When a Stranger Calls.
Okay.
And a couple of other, but I just don't think of her as being in serious roles or playing anything other than someone funny or a lot of times absurd. A lot of her characters are absurd characters.
Yeah, definitely so.
Yeah.
And this movie kind of reminded me of, like, let's say whenever I saw Robin Williams in what's that movie where he's like developing photos and stuff?
Right, yeah, 1 Hour Photo.
1 Hour Photo, yeah. We're used to seeing him as, Nanu,
yeah,
and Mr. Funny Guy, zany guy all the time, and then you see that he is playing this like hyper weird, fucking creepy, obsessed thing and doing it incredibly convincingly well. This kind of had that where like there is no shade of humor in anything that she does in this movie, and she does it. I think that she plays the part exceptionally well.
Yes, she does
exceptionally well, man.
Yeah, especially like the parts where she's talking to the corpses or where she's yelling at her mom. Like the thing is that this has some maybe had some influence on Hereditary. I think it maybe not, but there's definitely she feels in control with a corpse.
Yeah, right.
She
like how she does with the models and Hereditary.
Yeah,
right.
So she's able to make her art with the corpses.
Yeah.
And this is obviously
and make a family and make a home with the corpses. Yeah.
She's able to improve her life with corpses.
Yeah.
But she is a pretty obvious analog of Cindy Sherman. Cindy Sherman was making herself a character in some ways. Cindy Sherman mostly does stuff with herself.
Yeah,
she will do her own makeup, her own hair and whatnot to make herself into these different characters, and she does photo shoots with herself.
Like the first stuff that she kind of got popularized for and that hit galleries really hard was a series she did of like bus riders.
Yes.
Where she would just ride the buses and find people that she thought seemed interesting looking or whatever, and
then
recreate.
Try to duplicate them with herself.
Yeah, exactly. And then she did like a series of things from movies, or like things that looked like they were from movies.
And so she then in the 90s moved to doing a lot of stuff with mannequins and prosthetics and stuff.
Okay.
And it's very obvious the message that comes out of that is that she's not comfortable working with people, which is what Doreen is. She's not comfortable working with people, but she's comfortable with posing corpses.
She's also comfortable with computers.
Yes, she's very comfortable with
computers. Takes the human element out of communication.
Removing the human element, and she feels more comfortable.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of this movie too. Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, she is this Cindy Sherman analog that is this artist who works. She's comfortable when they're dead. She feels like she can say the things she couldn't say before. So like, whenever Gary, the first guy, dies, the guy who looks like Jason Schwartzman and John Lovitz had a kid.
Dude, you said that, and it's like, that's exactly what that guy looks like. I was trying to figure it out while we were watching it, and I'm like, he's something, but I can't say what he is. And he is precisely that.
Yeah.
And he's got a horrible voice.
Yeah, he does. He sounds just like John Lovitz.
And it's because there's this thing through the movie about him having a cold and giving people his cold.
Yes.
And I guess that's why he talks really dazily and stuff like that. And a couple other people do because they get the cold. I don't know why that's relevant to the story even at all. I really
just loved it if right when the part where we think he dies and she thinks he's dead.
Yeah.
And what I was getting at was whenever he's dead, she finally says the things that she wanted to say to him, and she does that with everybody else as they die, or later when they're dead and she's posing them, she's able to talk to him and say the things that she couldn't say. But it would have been really amazing if, as she thought he was dead, he stood up from the ground, then pulled off his suit, and then said, "I'm John Lovitz."
Just revealed it.
Acting.
That would have definitely made this movie absolutely better. Absolutely better.
But yeah, so like when she or even just when they're dead, when her mom dies, she's finally able to say the things to her mom that she's been wanting to say, and that she's been saying by essentially controlling her mom, turning off, like unplugging her chair and stuff.
But you know that scene where after her mom dies unexpectedly, and she goes in there, and her first reaction is just a blood-curdling, like, freak-out scream.
Right.
And then she goes through this whole really fast range of emotions on camera, and it's just one shot.
Yeah.
The acting in that is like a fucking 20 out of 10.
Oh, yeah. She's great.
I had to it finished, and I was like, holy shit. I had to rewind and watch it again.
Very intense.
Yeah, because she goes through, like, no, you can't go. This can't be happening. And then she kind of like pulls away, and she's like, "You fucking dancing in hell with Dad."
Yeah.
And she also says some stuff like, "You're a silly girl." Which to me is like, she gets very childlike.
Yes,
she
does.
Yeah,
she does that with the other corpses too. Like
very childish.
She like leans into the Gary corpse and then starts giggling, and she's like, "You shouldn't say that to a girl."
Yeah,
like
which all goes back to that thing that we've seen happen time and time again, where a lot of times when people experience a really traumatic event in their early childhood days,
they get stuck.
They just kind of stay that way.
Yeah, she kind of did. She's been in the same job. She's working
has no social life.
She has no social life. She's only hanging out with her mom and her cats.
Working at a magazine that her dad created, so her dad got her the job.
The only job she's ever had.
So her family is like all she's ever had, essentially. Yes. And that scene is really, really, really amazing and really intense. And like I said, I love that they made it childish.
Yeah.
In the way that she does that stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of depth to her character. I think maybe some people have trouble with the fact that there's not much depth to the other characters. I would say the two characters that have the most depth are her and Kim. Kim, played by Molly Ringwald,
who's awesome.
Oh yes, she's great.
She's great,
and she's so pretty.
Yeah,
I had a huge crush on Molly Ringwald growing up, and this is '97, and she was just still smoking hot gorgeous.
I know, she's awesome.
Yeah, she's great. But like they're like foils to each other.
They are
like she's the antagonist, I guess, but the antagonist only because we're seeing it through the view of Carol Kane.
Yeah,
Doreen.
she's the good guy if you're like, she's the person putting the pieces together and getting a killer
But
caught.
she's also a bad person. Like, that's
Yeah.
the thing, is that Doreen is this sweet, meek, and mild person who will kill you and arrange your corpse in a way that she can enjoy having a conversation with it.
But her public face is she's weird and awkward and is everybody's doormat.
And then Kim, publicly, she is very outspoken, always lets her opinion be known. She doesn't care how other people feel about it, and she's gorgeous. Yeah. She's having sex with a married man, etc. Like she is
the opposite,
exact opposite of Doreen. And so I talked. If you listen to the minisode, I talked a bit about abjection in regards to us. But the reason why I started thinking about abjection in regards to us was because that is one of Cindy Sherman's sort of focuses is the abject. The things, and by abject that means basically we when we create ourselves, we show who we are to the world. And what we're doing is actually also repressing the things that we don't want people to see.
I'm a liberal. I'm not a conservative.
Right. And so we sort of create a duality of ourselves. So we have the person that everybody knows and then the person that we're trying to hide by projecting that person everyone else knows.
If you want to take it back to the world of art,
right?
It's like you got this huge block, you chip all this stuff away to make a sculpture, but there's still all the stuff you chipped away.
Yeah, all the stuff you chipped away, that's the abject. Right. Yeah, that's the monstrous element of ourselves.
Part you didn't want.
Yeah, and in this case, Kim, I would say in a lot of ways, Doreen is Kim's abject. Mm-hmm. Doreen is the exact fear Kim has, the thing she doesn't want to be. She probably used to be meek and mild and had to break herself out of this to become this person that she's become. Yeah. Whereas Doreen has never done that. She's never progressed. And so what we find then is that Doreen's progression is constantly rubbing up against Kim. Like everything she does sort of fucks with Kim's life.
Yeah.
And Doreen's final full progression to this new and different person who can move past her family and move out of this home she's always lived in, the way she becomes that is by killing Kim. Like the final person she kills before she can finally be a new individual.
Because we kind of see her grow a little bit through the movie. Like at first, at the top of the movie, she has this very like baby doll makeup and lipstick and like wears her hair up and little buns and stuff. And then she starts wearing like the jewelry from these women that she's killing, and then she starts wearing her hair down.
And she gets a little more confident. She's able to talk to Daniel a little more confidently than she talks to other people. And like she starts talking to what's Gene Triplehorn's character?
Oh yeah, no, it starts with an N, I think.
Nora. Yeah, Nora.
Yeah.
She starts sort of almost having a friendship with Nora,
and that's almost like a very like maybe she just kind of feels bad for her.
Right.
Kind of made me think of Carrie.
Nora. Yes, Nora is obviously feeling bad for her. Gives her some old clothes of hers and stuff like that. But like she does it. I mean, still she seems to be genuine, and it would have worked out great for her if it weren't for the thing that is actually, I guess, the driving point of this movie is that she is embezzling money from this company. Nora is embezzling money from this company that is causing them to now at this point have to lay off some people.
Yeah, have people work from home and go part-time.
And having to work from home and all that stuff is what makes Doreen sort of snap.
Yeah, because she has to be at home more. Because basically her home life
sucks.
Is the fucking worst.
It's the worst, yeah.
So it's like her work is all she has.
Like a lot of us have probably known the person who, when an older family member gets sick, they just take care of them happily, and it's like, wow, you're an amazing person. I don't know how you do that.
Yeah.
Because the rest of us are Doreen. Yeah. And Doreen is not happy about having to take care of her mom all the time.
And it can start one way and then the other too. Yep. Like I have some
you can start with the best of intentions and then it's like, oh my god, this is way hard.
Yeah. I have some friends and stuff who have done that, and one friend in particular who's dealing with that right now, where he's taking care of his mom who's on the downward slope of things.
It's a lot of work.
And he's at his fucking breaking point.
It's exhausting.
He really is. And especially if you're talking about, okay, not only is she taking care of her mom,
right,
which would be rough long term, She's also taking care of her mom, who sided with her molester.
Right. This is the mom who she told her mom that her dad was molesting her, and her mom
was like, "I'll wash your mouth out."
Yeah, she said they were filthy lies.
Yeah, exactly. Just wouldn't believe her. And even while the dad was in the car, like groping her up on the back seat and stuff. And also, the fact is that she was taking care of somebody who sided with her abuser. That is also the collateral damage of an event she caused, which is the car crash.
Yes.
Like what a twisted and fucked up web where it's like, I'm having to take care of you because I took out the guy that you didn't believe that was molesting me. Like that's just a crummy situation.
And her mom is not nice to her.
No.
So that does it. I mean, like, she's at this breaking point at home and then at work, the only place she's ever worked, the place her father founded.
Yeah.
They're now cutting back her hours, and she has to work from home.
Be at home with mom more.
Yeah, be at home with mom more. Like, that's... Yeah, I mean, like, for a person who has had this trauma and never really been able to deal with it and never been able to grow past it, to experience such pressure from all sides,
right?
There's going to be a release.
Sure.
And the release comes when Gary accidentally dies.
Yeah.
But she sees the result of that is that now she has control of Gary, this guy who she was afraid, like frightened.
Well, he was kind of like
he's an
on
asshole.
Her. Yeah, he was kind of like grabbing on her and stuff, like on her shoulders and all this stuff.
Yeah, but then also being like physically intimidating to her too when she didn't respond to it. Like,
and she sees that if this person's dead, they have no power over
right,
them.
I have absolute power over them if they're dead. So then it's all the people that are exhibiting power over her. She's just like, you know what? Get rid of this person. But then it becomes, here's 2 Girl Scouts. I'd like to add them to the collection.
Yeah, that was like the real, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
She just killed 2 children.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I did not expect that to happen.
Yeah, then it's not about control anymore. It's
Yeah.
about her becoming who she wants to be.
Well, and
she's like taking charge and taking power, and it's like, you go, girl? Like,
ish. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I think the fact that she killed those Girl Scouts is more of an analogy of corporate greed. With these massive layoffs and stuff, where they don't give a fuck who they put in the crosshairs.
Right.
They're just out to eliminate.
So she's feeling that power that's been exerted over her. Just that I don't give a fuck who I do this to.
Well, because look at it this way too. Like whenever she saw Gary was the one that got electrocuted, right? Whenever she saw Gary die, what clicked in her head might have been, if there's less people getting paid around here, then maybe I can keep my job.
Yeah.
You know, maybe she kind of became like the corporate layoffer who's just like, I've got to stay afloat. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're fired, you're fired, you're fired. Just at random. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe that's sort of an analogy that they're playing with there, because I don't know why else she would have fucking killed Girl Scouts. They just came to her door to sell cookies.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is that her mom mentioned... Okay, so her mom mentioned that the little Casper girl had to come over and help her and plug in her chairlift.
Yeah.
And then one of those girls is one of that girl.
Really?
She says that she saw a picture of her in her little Girl Scout uniform.
Oh, I totally
missed
that.
She looked just like you when you were that age, and like I think maybe just seeing her brought her back to that age. But then why would she kill the other one? So like, I think you're right. I think there's like some trauma to it, but it's also just like she's getting wild with power. Like she's like, oh, I could kill anybody. Like,
right. Pretty
cool. She killed somebody apparently, because at the end when she's like having that sort of delusion of everybody before she burns down the house, of everybody sort of talking and enjoying themselves, there's an old man sitting in a chair that I don't remember her killing.
I think that was the homeless guy.
I think it was the homeless guy, but
garage.
she paid him off, so there must have been a scene where she killed him.
I feel like there was some stuff that was cut from this movie, because it's also like, how did Molly Ringwald start thinking that she was the killer? Like,
it was a big progression.
How did she put those pieces together?
Well, it really. It quickly escalated.
Yeah. I feel like
I think a lot of it was
there.
just hatred, though. Like as I was saying, that like for Molly Ringwald, looking at her, she's looking at all the things she doesn't want to be, like the things that are in herself that she probably went through, of being the mousy sort of quiet girl to like. I mean, we all do that when we see the like I see people like if I see a teenager who's like me as a teenager, I just think in my head like fuck you, because I know like you need to grow. You need to grow. You need to be better than this.
Yeah. And also, you think you have shit figured out. You don't know shit.
You don't know shit.
You haven't done shit.
You don't know shit.
Yeah. Which is one of those things that teenage me would have been like, oh yeah, fuck you.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
like,
oh yeah. That's why teenage me was pretty awesome. He would have told adult me, fuck you.
Yeah. But amidst all this, all the good acting and stuff that Carol does in this, I think that her performance is seriously fucking incredible and reminds me of somebody that I know. Very, very much, yeah, like to a T almost, and it makes me feel very weird to watch this movie. There's also some not good acting in it, I will say.
I would particularly say Barbara Sakawa,
which one's she?
German lady who's playing Ariana Huffington.
That she's really bad. She's wrestling that accent really hard.
That's the most Argento this movie gets, though. I feel like in some ways that was inspired, like, because she's an actress who continues to work. She's obviously done good work.
Yeah.
So in this, she's acting over the top on purpose,
I guess. Like, she talks like how people talk in your dreams, where it's like just not quite right. You know, and very, very unrealistic.
And it was interesting to me because I think it was maybe the Village Voice or something. There's a review I read where they pointed out that she is an obvious caricature of Ariana Huffington, and I was like, wait a second, is Cindy Sherman conservative? So I looked up Ariana Huffington. Turns out Ariana Huffington was conservative all through the 90s.
This is stuff I have no idea about, because I only know HuffPost now as like being a very liberal outlet. Yeah. But wait, so back in the 90s...
Back in the 90s, she, her husband ran for office as a Republican. She ran for office as a Republican, and like... She ran against Schwarzenegger when there was the runoff election for the governorship in California. She ran as a Republican. Of course, he was running as a Republican, too.
Yeah.
But, like, so...
She just out to, like, be sold to the highest bidder, whoever's popular or is going to listen to her at the time.
Here's the thing. Like, people have said this about Trump, too, that, like, in New York, if you're part of high society in New York and you're not a Democrat, people aren't going to really want to talk to you and hang out with you.
Right.
So there are a lot of social Democrats in the New York City high society. And Trump was one of them. He was a Democrat for a long time because it would be social suicide to be a Republican.
Yeah.
The same with Ariana Huffington, I would say.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know the convictions of her heart. I'm just saying that might have had something to do with it.
And making an inside kind of joke or jab about Ariana Huffington as a public figure very much dates this movie.
It does date this movie,
as does the technology.
Right, like those brick thick laptops.
Yeah, dude, I remember seeing those. We never had one, of course.
No, because those were so expensive back in the day.
We never could have afforded that.
Yeah,
and then it would be like, it has a word processor.
Whoa.
Yeah, maybe Snake on it. I remember a buddy somehow ended up with one, and it had like solitaire on it, and I was just like, holy shit, I can't wait to fucking play solitaire.
No Minesweeper though. Hadn't gotten to that point.
I was never much of a minesweeping kind of guy. Yeah, Kate loves a minesweeper.
I love to sweep a mine.
Yeah, dude. I'd rather sweep the leg.
What?
Or a solitaire.
Leg sweeper should be
like
somebody should make a like
Flash game.
Microsoft like Windows 95 version of a game called Leg Sweeper. I would play that like crazy.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, some of the technology and stuff. I think there's also like somebody has a pager in here, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Sweet pager, bro.
It definitely feels very of the time, which is something that as technology becomes more and more integrated into our daily, every waking second of our lives, it's going to be very hard for movies not to get that way. Like, you're going to be able to tell how old movies are by if the person's iPhone has a button on it or not.
Right. You know? Like, whoa, look at that bezel. That was like 3 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, its screen doesn't even wrap around the edge. Yeah. it's so dumb.
Well, I mean, that is, I've said this before, but that is why we've gotten to the point of so much nostalgia now, where there's so many 80s and like 90s movies and stuff, because it's like, Well, if we do that, we avoid cell phones.
Right.
We avoid like the major technology booms. Yeah.
And I think the technology in this movie is important, though, because it does show how, I mean, like we said, Doreen, right?
Yeah, Doreen.
So bad with names. Doreen is face-to-face extremely, extremely awkward, but
Right.
once the human element is taken out, she can email like a motherfucker.
Oh, yeah.
And becomes very empowered through that. And it's like, I've known a lot of people that are like that, where,
Yeah.
you know, you talk to them in person and they're awkward as all fuck, but then they'll text message up a storm or Facebook message
Right.
or whatever and be very, very socially adept and elegant with their speaking and stuff.
Yeah, there's
You know?
less of a threat that way. I mean, like,
Yeah.
a lot of people, especially people who've gone through traumatic experiences, there's a physical intimidation of
Yeah.
seeing another person.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think it also says something about the kind of dehumanization,
yeah.
maybe of corporate office life, or of the fact that she's a serial killer, so she does better with it that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's kind of definitely an element of the movie worth noting. You
Yeah,
know,
sure.
Steve, I just gotta wet my whistle. It's getting so dry.
Yeah, your whistle's dry as hell over there, dude. Ooh,
I can't even get a tune out of this thing. I better lubricate this thing. Let's lubricate. Let's get ourselves
a Project Dank.
a Project Dank from La Cumbre.
Yeah.
From our homeboy Scott Manning down in New Mexico. He sent us a big old batch of them. This is actually... No, there's a couple more. There's a couple more that he sent to go.
Okay.
But I think this is the last from this La Cumbre.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to tell you this. From the beers we've had from them,
All of them have been
I am a
great.
gigantic fan
Yeah.
of La Cumbre. Holy God. That Space Manatee, that sour,
man.
kettle sour.
That
God
was so
damn,
good.
that was so good, man. That episode we did that in like a stout. It was such a good combination.
Yeah, it was.
We had one of the other Project Danks he sent me that I think was like a autumn edition or something like that.
Yeah, and this is the winter edition of the Project Dank.
Yeah, which I don't know if it gives an explanation. No, it doesn't tell what that means exactly. It smells great, though. And
Yeah,
as
it
usual,
does.
no ABV listed. They just don't roll like that. They don't care. It'll
It's a
get you drunk.
gamble.
That's all that matters. It smells great. It's clear. A lot of the other ones we've had have been very cloudy. This is quite a bit more clear. What's that about? Is that getting good to you?
That is resiny. That is
Extremely.
piney. Oh, and there's some grapefruity sort of citrusiness at the end.
At the end, yeah. It hit me as you said that, where you get a little bit of that acidic, like you said, more like a grapefruit or an orange peel kind of taste at the very end.
That is good. I like that. That like
I do too. I've had
'cause
so many like really orangey, fluffy,
Yeah.
creamy ones lately.
this was just piney and resiny with a tiny bit of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang, that is good, man. And it's also completely different than the other Project Dank too.
Yeah, it is.
Completely different. It's not ultra hoppy. Like it's not very
No.
like skunky or funky.
No, it's not. It doesn't have a bunch of that to it. It's
Very
just more of
smooth.
the more of that resiny taste to it.
Whew. That is awesome.
That's what you want bong water to taste like. Then it doesn't.
Never does.
Every time I have to drink it,
Yeah.
right?
Like you do. You end up in these situations.
Right.
Now, Steve, the story is told through the incredible cinematography. Of course, obviously,
Oh,
when you
man.
have a photographer making a
Yeah.
movie, it's probably going to look pretty good.
Yeah.
I think you could just about take just about any still from this movie, frame it, put it up in
Hang
a
it
gallery.
up, yeah. There's specifically when Daniel and Nora are in her bed or their bed at
Yeah.
the apartment, the composition of that shot and the setup,
yeah.
like, it's just so perfect.
Yeah.
And then there's so many moments where she uses, which you would expect her to do as she's a visual storyteller, but where she uses visual information to tell you
Right.
far more than you would get with words. And what you find out is, when, say for instance, the phone call to Gary's wife to ask about where Gary is.
Right. You've never seen Gary's home life at all. at
Never
this
seen
point in the
Gary's
story.
home life. You learn everything you need to know about it without any of it being said, really.
No exposition at all.
Right.
Yeah.
His wife is on the phone. We don't see her face ever. We see her
Yeah.
mouth talking.
Into a phone.
Yeah, but we see a lot of images. We see she's in a kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
We hear kids playing in the background. We just keep seeing these images of the kitchen, toys, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you learn just from this that Gary and his wife don't like each other.
Yeah.
His wife is stuck at home all the time in the kitchen or taking care of the kids.
Right.
She's not happy.
Yeah.
You learn
It's
all
all
of
right
that
there.
without any of it being said.
And it's maybe 10 seconds of screen time.
Just a real quick phone call. Like,
Yeah.
she is able to tell a story visually so perfectly.
Well, because that's the thing is like ultimately the project of any photographer that is doing narrative things where
Right.
it's like, I'm not just taking a picture of a bowl of fruit. I'm trying to tell the story of a person through a
Right.
photograph. You are getting yourself trained to be able to tell an entire story with one frame.
Right.
With one frame. And in film, we're talking about 24 frames per second.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? But like if you're a good photographer, give me one of those fucking things, I'll tell you the whole story.
Right.
And that is a skill that eludes so many people that
Yes,
just have
it
to
is.
fucking tell you everything and
Right,
show you
exactly.
nothing.
I think you know, a lot of people who get into directing are people who wanted to write movies or wanted to produce movies. They had ideas for stories, but the visual element is not their forte.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she, like, this is a simple story. I mean, it's fucked
Extremely,
up.
yeah.
It's fucked up and weird, but it's a very simple story, very straightforward.
Yeah.
Without her visual storytelling, this could have been a boring movie, but it's not boring.
I never got bored while I was
Right.
watching it. It's never like it's a thrill a minute slam bang
Right, no.
ride. It's never really gets to that point, but yeah, I was always interested. I was always like, where is this going? And
Yeah.
also, I was just like, it pretty.
It pretty.
Movie pretty.
Movie pretty.
But not in like a, you know, typical when you think pretty aesthetically,
Right,
you're
no,
thinking like
'cause
beautiful colors
A lot
and
of it
pretty
is
people.
set in a
and,
dingy office
Yeah.
with like halogen lights. Like,
yeah.
it's not pretty in that way. It's pretty in the way that the shots are composed, and again, it's her choices.
Yeah.
The choices she's making,
It's all
what she's
choices,
showing
for
us,
sure.
what's in the frame, that makes it way more beautiful than it should be.
Well, there's even one of my favorite things in this entire movie visually is that part where you have Doreen's mom and she's going up her chairlift, and the
Right.
chairlift is like the left side of the screen
And the right side is the kitchen door.
where she's like being super busy
She
and
does a
working her ass
couple of
off.
those. There's also one where Doreen is trying to get the toner in the printer.
Oh,
And the
yeah.
shot is from outside the building, and
Yeah.
you see, like, just in one window you see her with the toner, and then the other window there's no action, and it makes the action of her with the toner seem more frantic
Definitely.
because you're
Yeah.
seeing like contrast.
Yeah. That chairlift shot is so cool where it's like
Yeah.
the mom is facing the camera in the chairlift but receding into the background
Right.
and into the shadows. It's
It's
very
cool.
cool and it lasts a long time.
It is, it's the length of how long it would actually take to go up that chairlift from the bottom to the top. Yeah,
It's very, very, very cool to see that they included that in the movie where it's just
Yeah.
like, this matters. You
Yeah.
know, it's like, look at this. It looks cool.
Yeah.
You know? And even some of the shots, like later on, of the bodies and things
Uh-huh.
like that are very artful and very well
Right.
composed. I'll tell you, one of the coolest parts of the movie, and this is a weird thing to say, one of the coolest parts of the movie is the fucking opening credits.
Oh yeah, they do look really great.
They're awesome. It's
Yeah.
like they projected. It's almost like they had like a stencil
Uh-huh.
of like the actresses' names and stuff.
Yeah, and then projected through it with a
Yeah,
light
in like
going
a
at
dim,
different angle.
a dim room. So you
Yeah.
see it like wrapping over objects,
Yeah.
and I can't even remember what all it wraps over. It looks like office supplies and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But maybe there's some bodies or something in there too.
Maybe, I didn't notice.
It's like very film noir
Yes,
feeling to
it
me.
reminded me of LA Confidential.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. And I've seen some other art things that are done that way, where it's projections. You know, where
Yeah.
it's projecting an image or words or whatever on top of something else.
Right.
It's a really cool technique whenever it's done right.
Yeah.
Opening credits to this, I thought were
I really enjoyed
fucking
them. Yeah.
cool. Now this movie, I'll tell you too. You know, with it being directed and made by a woman and everything, I thought it was cool to see that women's roles were extremely prominent in this movie.
Right. Yeah. The boss is a woman, and her number one person, Nora, is a woman.
It
and
smashes the Bechdel test.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're constantly talking about work, and
Yeah.
not, I mean, they do have conversations about men from time to time, but
Yeah.
rarely.
Well, here's another thing that struck me too. Is there any moment in this movie, and it's cool because you don't really notice this until I'm about to bring it up. Is there any moment in this movie where two men talk to each other on screen? I don't think there is.
Oh my gosh. I didn't notice that.
But you don't notice, yeah. Because it's not just like, this is a women-only movie with only women in it. But you just don't notice.
There's,
you know?
Okay, so the guy who she had a crush on when she was little that her dad gave the job to.
Mr. Landau.
Mr. Landau. And there's Gary and there's Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think they're ever on the same.
Yeah, or if they are, there's a woman there. But it's like there's not. Name another movie that doesn't have two men on screen talking.
Yeah,
like, come up with one off the top of your head. It doesn't happen.
I can't think of one. Yeah,
but this movie doesn't really make a show of it. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
you know. Again, it's not stomping on balls and high heels. It's not an emasculating thing. It's just, well, this is just how it is.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like we said about Captain Marvel. It's just like,
oh yeah, it is. Because it doesn't make a show of it. It doesn't ever mention it.
No,
there's not a moment where one of the guys is like, boy, real hard taking orders from a woman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like the men in the movie seem okay with it. It's just an office. Everybody's working, whatever.
Right.
You know, I thought that was a cool aspect.
That is cool.
About the
movie.
I
enjoy that.
Soundtrack in this was pretty unobtrusive, but good.
Yeah,
I can't remember a ton of it off the top of my head.
I was going to say,
cool,
but like the music in the opening credits was good.
Yeah, cool, like jazzy, again, kind of film noir sort of stuff. Nothing that was super over the top, and I think that benefited it in a lot of ways. We were talking before we started the show about whenever it shows those scenes of her in the basement with the bodies, and she's like living out this fantasy life with these rotting corpses and stuff. I feel like most filmmakers now, they would put that shitty teal, grimy, The Ring filter over it. And they would have like a Hans Zimmer score behind it that's just like violins getting increasingly higher. And like, isn't the music telling you this is weird?
Think about how creepy it is that she's talking to corpses. I get that it's creepy she's talking to corpses.
Exactly. You just have to show me that, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like the plainness and matter-of-factness is what makes this hyper disturbing. That's what makes, like, to me, Maniac seem so grimy and depraved. And same with Don't Go in the House.
There's not really much music in Maniac or Don't Go in the House.
Like
Don't Go in the House,
fretless bass and stuff. Don't Go in the House. It
has the disco scene.
Yeah. Past that, I don't remember much. Honestly, like showing people in their homes under plain lighting, being quiet with corpses is about as creepy as you can get. Yeah, honestly,
it really is.
Because you know what it is? Whenever you get that crazy filtered look or grimy film and you get crazy soundtrack,
it's a movie.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm definitely seeing a movie.
Yeah.
But whenever you see this shit and it's just cameras on, me sitting here talking with a body, it makes you go, oh shit, and this happens. It makes it way more real that the soundtrack and stuff wasn't doing the heavy lifting right there.
Yeah, like it just reminds me of, say, like, you know, Dahmer talking about how much time he had with the bodies and stuff and what he could do with them. Like, that's real world stuff. So seeing this, it's like, all right, like this could happen, and like displaying it, portraying it as real as possible.
Oh yeah, it works.
It works
for me.
It definitely works. Like, yeah, this movie has gotten some bad reviews. At the time, it got bad reviews. I don't know if it's gotten a ton of looks since then. Like, I don't know how many people are really paying attention to this movie.
I searched iTunes and I found like 1 or 2 people had done podcasts about it. Like, that's it. Like, it's not even something that's been explored much on like horror review podcasts or anything.
I mean, I get if somebody says that they don't love this movie because it's. I mean, first off, the story has been done. Yeah. In a lot of ways, like, I think that, say, Maniac or Don't Go in the House has like this over dramatized view of psychopathy or sociopathy or whatever we're seeing displayed here, and this is more grounded.
Sure.
This seems more realistic than those movies do.
It does, and
it shows us the trauma and things, but it doesn't get all high and mighty trying to give us some psychological perspective. Mm-hmm. Like, we know that she was traumatized. We know bad things happen, but we never really get the sense that, like, yeah, that's also the explanation for why she's killing these people now.
Yeah.
Like, those things seem almost completely disconnected. Like, it's just like, oh, you had a real fucked up childhood. Also, now you're killing people you work with. Like, there's the movie never tells us this is all explained because her dad molested her.
Right.
But it does give us that information.
Definitely.
And I think it does it. I think it does a better job maybe than Maniac or Don't Go in the House or definitely Sleepaway Camp 2, which is a movie I love, but is campy and crazy.
What do you think about the way the special effects and gore are handled? There's not like necessarily a ton, but
yeah, but like there's the scene where she's trying to keep Gary fresh.
Oh my god!
And so she like tapes the wound in his
because his chest is just like caving in, or maybe she's like cut him up or something.
Right.
I don't know.
And then she like Windexes it and then wipes, and the tape comes off, and then she just sort of like
pats it
back on, and then like buttons his shirt up. That is one of the most disturbing scenes because it's just
because to her this makes sense.
Yeah, it all makes sense to her. She's just like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
like,
just give him a little shine here.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, very, very strange. And then later Nora like trips and like her hand like falls into his chest.
Yeah.
Which is really pretty effective and gross.
Oh, okay. So the male boy that she kills.
Yeah.
She cuts his hands off and then she's like playing with the hands with her cats.
Yeah.
This I think is sort of a direct analog to Cindy Sherman's sort of feeling about what she was doing with the mannequin parts and things at that time, where it's just like she gets to, as an artist, focus on a piece of a person.
Right.
Like she gets to play with pieces of people.
If you just choose to photograph the feet.
Right. And so specifically what I would say sort of how she highlights that she is saying specifically, like, this is kind of how I feel I get to play with these parts, is that with Virginia, the Ariana Huffington type character, just if you haven't watched it or you're going to watch it again, pay attention. Every few seconds with Virginia, her hands are in frame, or it's just focused on her hands.
Yeah.
Like, it just keeps showing her hands. And
the stuff of her like smoking and lighting cigarettes, and stuff like
or
that.
like pushing buttons or something.
Yeah.
And it's like Cindy Sherman's getting to play with that part of her. She's getting to display and do things with this part, because like it really, like, there's one particular shot I'm thinking of where she reaches in, and the shot is just of of ashtray with a cigarette burning on the side, and she reaches in, and the way she like grabs the cigarette is basically she just puts her hand forward and then closes her fingers and pulls it back out. It's a real weird,
like mannequin-like
motion,
way to do it,
but it's also like gross. And that's like Cindy Sherman likes that grossness.
Sure, for sure.
And she has said specifically that the hands say so much about us. Like, you can hide a lot with your face with like makeup and things, but you can't hide your hands.
Right.
So you see someone's hands, you can tell they're older than they look. Visually or whatever. Right. So like, she specifically focuses on this woman who wears so much jewelry on her hands and is always smoking. There's always the focus on her hands, but then she also has her character who's supposed to be her just playing with hands.
Yeah,
like there's the scene where she's playing with the hands with the cat is just ridiculous. Yeah, but it's exactly the same. She's almost like she's saying, that's how I feel. Like, I get to have fun with your parts.
Yeah, that's pretty creepy.
It is creepy.
And she does other stuff too, where she puts like the fingers on the clock in the kitchen. And it's the kind of thing that again, I think that she definitely did some research into stuff that serial killers did with corpses in their houses.
So a lot of that is, that's like Ed Gein and other people.
Yeah, you hear stories about him just having parts just in various rooms in the house.
Yeah.
Like, maybe I'll just want to walk by and scope this thing out for a minute.
Sure. Maybe I want to look at my flesh lampshade, or maybe I want to put on my nipple belt.
Play a game of footy with a foot. Maybe that's what I want to do. You know?
It doesn't roll well, but it's fun.
But the pun is worth it.
Yeah, it is worth it.
I do it for the lulz. And this movie is like maybe an ultra dark comedy at times.
I think it is. I think it's going for a bit of dark comedy most of the time, but also still having that message of like, people can be ugly. Like, no matter how they display themselves to you at work or in at friendly occasions and things, you just don't know who they are.
That's what I was going to ask you about next is like, what ultimately do you think is the meaning of all this? Like, why is she telling us this story about this person in office that chooses to kill all these people that she works with and stuff? Like, what do you think it's out to say?
Oh, man. I mean, that is maybe an issue I have with the movie is I'm not sure what the message is. I think there's, like, as you said, there's a strong feminist presence.
Yeah.
But there's no message to it. It's just that this particular place has some female bosses.
Yeah, they don't beat the men.
Right.
Yeah.
And then also we're not being told to be like Doreen or anybody. And so like the morality of the movie isn't particularly supposed to tell us anything. It's just, I think in a lot of ways, because she's a photographer, it's just trying to capture something. Yeah. Like just trying to capture the idea of this, if this person existed.
I gotcha.
What was like, and that I like a horror movie doesn't have to have a message. I love me a Friday the 13th movie. Like,
yeah. We'll see some teenagers get killed.
That maybe though is why it got negative reviews, is that everybody expected Cindy Sherman to be producing something that said a lot.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing, right? Yeah. Is just because they know your reputation, they expect it to be attacked. It's like if Shyamalan does a non-twist movie.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, well, what the fuck, dude? You didn't do the thing.
We wanted to hate you for your twist.
Yeah, exactly. Now I hate you because you didn't do it. You know, I actually got something a little bit more concrete out of this movie after I kind of thought about it, though. I think that in a lot of ways, this movie goes back to something that beer is just so good.
It's great.
I love it. I can't remember who said it. It was probably like, just a stand-up comedian or something like that. But, somebody made a point of saying that guy that you hit your horn at and give the finger to while you're sitting in traffic, you don't know what that fucking person has been through.
Right.
You might just be pissing off the wrong fucking person. You might be the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Yeah.
You might be hitting your horn at that person who has to take care of their mother that they accidentally crippled because they were trying to kill their molesty dad. And
you never know.
You never know. Right. And I think that this movie is kind of sending a message to people in positions of power and corporations and stuff like that, except there's a corporate greed kind of message in the movie too, that thing to you that just seems like, whatever, I need to save some money, I'll cut your jobs, or just whatever way you choose to snub somebody who you view as a marginalized, trivialized person, you might be taking away the only thing that they have.
Yeah.
And you never know
how they're going to react.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you really might just be pissing off the wrong person. And also, too, that's, I think, something that is important when you look at the way that she physically completely 180s at the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
Is that person could be anybody.
Yes. And she does, she does say that. I mean, the closing narrative is basically like, I could come to your town.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like that person that you could be just pushing over the edge might be that meek, mild, doormat person in the copy room, or it might be the new hot lady at work. They might be the same fucking person.
That's true.
There's no way to know.
This is an era where going postal was something that occurred.
Very true. Right.
Yes,
that was when this was all going on.
People walked into their workplace and shot it up.
Yeah.
Like that was... Not to say it was a common occurrence, but it occurred as sort of a rash of shootings that happened for a few years there in the 90s. So yeah, this is definitely, I think you're right, playing on that.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine? Like, I think of all the indignities, being murdered while at work.
Boy, that's a lame way to go.
I didn't even want to be here. I just had to be. So I could eat food.
Yeah.
I could go kill food, but I can't because I have to pay for a license and then I have to.
And I'm in a city. There's nowhere to hunt.
The land.
Yeah.
To go hunt. Like I can't. So I gotta work. And then you're gonna kill me here?
Right.
Here? Kill me in the middle of taking a shit. Kill me any other time. At least I was enjoying myself.
Yeah, exactly. At least I was living my best life and not here at that fucking office.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I'm not gonna say that this is like, wow, man, this is one of my new favorite movies. I'm not gonna say that. I'm in no rush to
I think we
have
both
to watch it again.
I think we both just saw like the negative reviews and stuff, and we're just like, wait, why?
Yeah, why? But why?
It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my final assessment of it.
I can't think of what would made it better,
fine.
man. Like I can't tell you anything that I'd be like, well, if they would have done this, it would have been a 10. Like,
sure.
Yeah, not really. I think they handled the story and stuff about as well as they could have.
Yeah. I mean, to put a number to it, like, this is a sort of middle of the road movie with above middle of the road shots.
Yeah.
And with some I really think interesting character work from Carol Kane. So for me, it's like a 6.
6. I think that seems very fair.
Yeah.
I think that 6 is also where I would put it.
Yeah.
You know, and I will say that it's a 6 as it is. Without Carol Kane, it's probably a 4.
Yeah.
And without Cindy Sherman, it's probably a 3.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if this were directed by somebody else, I can't imagine this being fun to watch at all.
Yeah. And without Carol in there just owning it.
Amazing.
Yeah, like I couldn't imagine this movie with anybody else. It would definitely hurt it without her. She's fucking amazing, and it really exposed a new side of her that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
You know, so worth a watch. Definitely worth seeing. So you guys check it out. I mean, if nothing else, come on, y'all. It's short, and it's streamed for free on Shudder. If you got Shudder, you can watch it for free.
If you
on
got
there.
Shudder, and you can get Shudder for like $4 a month or something if you pay for the whole year. Yeah, Shudder. Go watch it, and if you don't love it, fine. You're not missing anything. I don't think. Like, if you immediately watch it and don't love it, you don't have to ever watch
people
it
not
again.
liking it. Yeah. This isn't one of those movies where I'm like, oh, everybody will like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably won't.
It's not revolutionary. It's not changing anything. It's fine.
But it's good.
Yeah, it's fine.
Now, next week on the show, we are going to be in celebration talking about a beloved classic that is getting a remake that's hitting theaters here really soon, which I am cautiously optimistic about. I'm talking about A Pet Cemetery.
Pet Cemetery.
Cemetery. Cemetery, the pornographic edition.
Yeah, Pet Cemetery.
It's a necro-bestiality movie.
Necro-bestiality movie, Pet Cemetery.
Hot. Yeah, we're talking about the OG. We might be able to squeeze in a mini-sode of the remake whenever it comes out.
We'll
I'd like
try
to. Do that.
I would also like to do that because it does, like, the previews make it look like it could be just like it made a much better version of the 1990 miniseries.
Yeah, I thought so for sure.
I think a much better version of the 1992. I think
so. Yeah, something like that
is within our grasp.
It'd be okay.
Yeah,
I can already tell you from the previous stuff. It looks like they're drawing more from the book. There's stuff in there in the preview about the Wendigo.
Okay,
which is like the Native American myth
shapeshifter
spirit thing. Yeah, that like brings all this stuff about. In the old one, they don't talk about that stuff at all.
Okay,
so it looks like in this one,
the old one doesn't give any sort of explanation.
No, not at all. Other than it all got
a rod. I say the word rod a lot because it's like my touchstone for this accent.
Don't
rod.
go down that rod.
Don't go down that accent rod.
Rod. How many times are we going to dip into the Judd accent in that episode?
A million.
I think we just
it'll be the entire time. Actually, you know what we should do? We should take a drink every time we do the Judd accent.
Yeah, do a shot every time the Judd accent gets dropped. By the end, we're like, shots. Yeah, so be sure to tune in next week for that one. That'll be fun to talk about because, spoilers, it's not that good.
It's not, guys.
I know it's fun. I like it. I'll say I like it, but it's not that good.
I'll say this. I know you were scared of the Zelda parts when you were a kid.
Yeah.
That does not make a good movie.
Yeah.
Just because you were scared of a stuntman dressed up as a woman, it doesn't mean the movie's good.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Anyway.
So tune in, hear all of our thoughts and musings about that one. That'll be definitely a fun episode. Be sure to rate and review on iTunes. Seriously, I know I say it all the time, but I say it all the time because it matters all the time.
It really does. It helps us out a whole lot.
Yeah, definitely. And where can they follow us on them internets?
At Dead Lovely Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Dead and Lovely horror movie something blah 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 on Facebook. Also,
Email.
you can email us at deadandlovelypod@gmail.com. We also have a Discord. If you want the link to that, it's on the Facebook. It's also available by just emailing and asking for it.
YouTube.
We also have YouTube where we make a video.
We make a video. We're making pizza.
We should make a video of us making the
We
pizza.
probably should.
Talking about a Dario Argento movie the entire time.
It's a deal.
Yeah.
That's a deal. That's just like, that's exactly what we should do. First, I need the dough.
Yeah.
Now, Phenomena was made in, like, I'm way on deck for that one.
Yeah.
So you guys be sure to stay in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to sample the beers of your local town.
For real.
So send us some bird or drink on the show. We'd appreciate that very much. Well, you guys have just been so loyal and wonderful and fantastic through these 102 episodes.
102 episodes.
102
That's
episodes.
as many Dalmatians as there were in the sequel.
No doubt.
Right?
We've caught up. Next week, we're passing them up. Look at us go.
Bring it on.
You guys have been great. We have been Drad and Logley.
That's us.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Later now. Bye.
Bye. We did it.